Zeta Division are out of this lobby. 18 squads left, and now Flat gets a show face after Falcons barely took a lick of damage.
That's true. They are so healthy, and Guild picking up the first knock on Denono. You see the Mad Moggy balls coming through. Walsey gets booped, but Guild, he is just full sending into it. One of my aggressive Watson picks of our series, and he's just kind of zigzagging, diving out Flat, disengage, go back towards the north, and Falcons are making a run for it. 13 seconds until that circle collapses, but there's still other teams on the horizon looking to find them. Wait, Flat? They don't commit to the north.
No, they don't. Now Flat are kind of just stuck seeing if they're going to be able to get away, but that's going to be difficult. I mean, it's round 3 at this point here. We're going to have to see what's going to happen to Flat with Falcons actually getting into that next zone and playing on the low ground of the bridge. I mean, can you imagine if a zone like this by City Hall ended up pulling more so to the northwest? That would have been brutal, but the fact that it pulls right here next to Falcons, where they were holding this choke for so long to clear their backs, even though they're forced to play off this low ground, it was Trinity who were holding up on this high ground side for quite some time, right? We saw them try to trade with Wolves as well as Zedeye, and the next ring is going to benefit them even more if they clear the southern side of zone.
And I'm just looking at Virtus Pro that's got a nice building, a nice space out there in towards that next area. But for the teams that are on the west, that are in the north, we're seeing a lot of that collapse, very similar to how our prior maps have gone for Deep Cross Gaming. This is going to be one of those rosters that finds themselves in an interesting situation.
All right, with DCG too, that have been holding onto this building for quite some time. It's going to be for fun on the outskirts, and JD Gaming holding a very split angle. One member of JD still inside, while DCG flying out with the R9 shots. Only Blue Letmag here going to be able to get that information with the TP there while the altar too, but for dropping down, destroying these Watson fences, but it's about showing face because in the next 15 seconds, this zone will be closing right behind them.
And I told you, this is one of those squads that had to lock in their ticket to here at EWC because of those regional finals. They won back-to-back maps, locked their ticket in, and things are getting crazy. They're not afraid to fight, and For Fun is on the opposing end of that. Synetic has to stand tall, the last altar alive for the team. Unlimit falls off screen. Flat falls off screen. This is where the entire lobby starts to shake up if you can't get into that next circle.
I can't believe he's still alive, by the way. Well, Falcons climbing from the low ground here have set up their TP gen out, getting the passive shield regen 2 before they're looking at AGG on the other side of the ravine. Trinity's still on the outskirts as well, but we were looking, where was Flat gonna go? I mean, absolutely nowhere. They were forced to back away. They get eliminated before that. Trinity now still holding that southern side, while Gaming Gladiators are also taking a look at TIE as well as PXX. But a majority of these teams were banking on playing by the grassy area on top of the stairs. So it's going to be a huge collapse and even more beneficial for the likes of Gen G, who found themselves in that building to the north side.
And it's going, you're just looking for knocks, you're running into the circle, TIE falls, PXX could join them as Virtus Pro is sending out a member of their team to clean it out. For Game and Gladiators, they're looking at all of this happen and they want to put pressure onto that. If they step too far out of their coverage, GG is going to eviscerate them. For JD Gaming, look, they're making their approach. It's not going to be pretty. It's up towards the north, and AG Global is on the other side trying to prevent floating, but this is why Wraith is so fun. You go into the void, you find a shred of cover.
Something a little different with AGG holding onto the high ground, though, being another one of those teams rocking that Wraith. Yanya now going to be able to get right back to the safety of his team, playing off the staircase. While they do look at JGG, though, it's going to take a lot of time away, similar to what we've seen with Trinity and Falcons, where they're kind of forced to play off that low ground before this next zone starts moving in the next 30 seconds. Peppering in, though, while Yanya is going to be able to heal up with that syringe. and Zul's going to be able to try to cover him. They're trying to harass this team, which is DCG, from coming into that next zone and get that free KP.
It's true. I mean, look, when you drop your portal already, JD Gaming didn't have a way to go, and they had so many resources on the high ground that allows them to just take these mid-range fights that are smart, and you have resources. Virtus Pro, who was inside that circle, they fall, and you know who took them? It was Game and Gladiators. Taskmaster, Osis, and Prestis are out of the lobby. Good pickup here to get Zane back into the fight. Reset, because we don't get third party, but I'd imagine that someone is going to look to play for this. PXX to the north is a solo. Deep Cross Gaming is too busy looking at AG Global, so will someone from the south side try to chow for that, or no? Do we see a top 5 performance out of Gaming Gladiators just by being in the better position?
I mean, if they're going to be able to get some KP this time around and they've found themselves consistently in that top 5, absolutely don't change things up here. But it depends on how this fight over from Team Falcons goes, because it's the control for the North. As Falcons are looking at DCG taking a book, or rather a page out of the AGG book, and looking to see if they can try to harass DCG, because they got to start moving. They have a very wide angle to play off of over by the grassy side, while Dory are holding onto the fence line for dear life. Will the collapse of 4 teams are still there.
So much damage.
Now moves up, are harassing AGG. No knockdown to hide from, but was it worth it? Will they get pinged from afar? I hear 30-30s ringing in their ears, and it is Dory getting a little bit of revenge.
I love the way they threw that down. Deep Cross Gaming go for the reset after taking down the Falcons, but it's still Gen G, the match 3 comeback on the southern side. Sure, you've got Dory, sure, you've got Trinity and ZI Esports, but we have coverage here. We can choose where we want to play from, and you look around, we are one of the only teams locking into the Axle right now. You've got an ult unavailable for the end game, and ZI clears out Trinity. So to the south, we still have 3 teams, 2 in the north.
And with 5 squads left right now, it's Gaming Gladiators that really have to worry about how they're going to get onto the high ground, right? Considering the fact that they have the Alter come out in clutch, but it's DCG who are waiting for them. Dory looking at DCG, which could work as a double-edged sword depending on how long this Gen G versus ZI Esports fight does play off. But Gen G waking up a little bit now, and this is what you like to see from a team who just flew in today.
You really do. The fences coming down. Roy is going to actually start opening that engagement on to Gen G. ZI getting into the mix as well. Dory on the other angle. Gen G does fall, and into the final 4 squads we go. Dupe does need to get rezzed, but we cannot let Dory stabilize on the other end. Behind the Newcastle wall, Katsu King hits the med kit, and we are stabilizing, but it's not pretty.
I mean, with the final ring closing behind their backs, look at the plethora of nades and some helping backup from DCG. Clear out Dory. ZI Esports get to see another day as they move up. They capitalize. The Gaming Gladiators now also trying to find their place, yeeting the nades up into the air. Thanks to the gens, though. They get deleted unless you're Rory, who is left 1 shot from one of the nades himself, hugging the gen for dear life.
But when does Gaming Gladiators make their appearance? They'll have to evac over and onto the high ground, but the timing has to be perfect. For Jelly, the fences, this is one of the most interesting fights. Like, we take an inch, you give a mile, another to meet you there. The Mad Maggie ball in the back pocket from Duke. And we are just swinging around, hanging the gen. Duke falls. Jelly trying to stabilize, can't do it. Deeds with a wingman in hand, fencing with the other. And it's Deep Cross Gaming who's able to take out ZI. And here come Gaming Gladiators to clean it up and take match number 3. The timing of that final play for them was impeccable.
Big difference in having the Alter get up to the high ground, get a little cheeky kidnap as the crowd goes wild. We talk about the consistency before tip. We talk about finding yourself in the top 5 for a lot of these end zones. And the patient play for Gaming that left the whole lobby collapse on one another up on the high ground before cleaning up the rest of the opposition for game number 3.
A brilliant showing as well for Gaming Gladiators in our first 3 matches. A 5th in match number 1. You've got a 2nd in match number 2. And then to button off E-District with a dominating win. Because it just goes to show you, we've got our timing down. We have our positioning. And if they would have entered maybe just a bit too soon, you kind of know, hey, that's not going to go our way. We're running right into those Watson gens, the nades, the Maggie ball that's potentially in Dupe's back pocket. That's not what you want to walk into, but they wait for that final fight and they go immediately to clean up.
And it's tough too when you may have all these nades to hurdle in the opposite direction. You have the wrecking ball ready, but then you're also staring down at a gen, right? So it's all for naught at that point too.
Exactly.
When it comes to trying, exactly,
break it.
You're trying to take a different off angle, and then the teams that did have Axel at the Ultra at the very end there came out on being able to put down those TPs right through the walls, be able to try to get a kidnap while you're at it, especially with the amount of Watson fences that are met on the other side.
Scary. That's what teams scrim for, though, right? When you TDM other squads, that's what that looks like. It's like navigating the fences.
Look at
like
that, like
the free cam, right? And that's where GG comes in at the perfect time. You got Lufka and Blast together in the north, is on the bottom. I mean, look, that was brilliant.
TP placement beautifully done to allow GG to get up onto the high ground, avoid a lot of that chaos. But it goes hand in hand with the different legend compositions when it comes to, noting the teams that wanted to go against the grain, seeing Gaming Gladiators eventually get their dub We saw them face off against Falcons for game number 2, falling in second place, but then getting the win before we transition onto Storm Point.
Great way to kick things off in this series. The first 3 games, phenomenal enough like that. You just got to maintain some more top 5s, even top 10s on the back half in Storm Point, and next thing you know, that's a great showing for Groups A and B.
It's nice to see when we get to see everybody set up on the stage, getting situated in the audience. And before we transition into Storm Point, I want to hear a little bit from Rain Day while he's talking to Gaming Gladiators.
So much, Vic. You know, GG is appropriate, however, not for Gaming Gladiators, for the team that won against Gaming Gladiators in a 3v3 in Game 2. That's Falcons. What's up, Mr. Gildersons? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
You seem like you're in a good mood. Tell me why.
I mean, the boys are playing well. We just had 2 really hard games that we made a lot of points out of, so we're pretty happy right now.
43, 46, something like that after 3 games. I mean, this is kind of what you guys felt like you needed to do coming into this, right? Start strong and keep that momentum up.
Yeah, I mean, the boys are playing the way that we need to be playing. I mean, we're making everything that we can out of these games, so, I mean, we're just doing good.
Listen, there's early lobbies. We're figuring out maps. We're figuring out circles. We're figuring out legend bands. But most importantly, I want to talk about you because you're a guy who's been here through so many different orgs, from the NRGs to the Moist to the Liquids. And now you're here with Falcons. You're one of those players that just is perennial. You've been around. You keep doing what you've done. What's your journey coming here, and what do you feel is at stake for you, for Gildersons at this EWC?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I got like a really good second chance in a way, because I mean, I went 2 out of 3 lands in a row without making finals and then joined Falcons, and it's just been nice to prove that this is where I belong.
Does that proving sometimes come with the disappointment that happened after those lands, the hard looks that you said, you know I can be better? How does the proof actually show up for you? Would it be winning, or is it just giving a performance that hey, I showed out?
I mean, it's less about winning and just playing to like my full potential as a player, and just making sure that I'm always showing up regardless of how everyone else is doing.
I asked how you were enjoying Paris. You got some, maybe not family coming, your girlfriend's coming to visit you?
Yeah. My girlfriend's coming.
The support in the stands, it means a lot. How does it feel just being live, the comparison of being in a city like this versus playing online?
It's amazing. I mean, it's nice because everybody else plays super scared, so that's pretty nice. But
yeah, you guys have been here, that's for sure. You have the maturity buff. Well, Gildersons, we're going to let you go get ready. 3 more games to go. You guys are in a great position. Good luck, and hopefully you finish it out.
Thank you.
All right, Gildersons from Falcons. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more action from the studio, and of course, games 4 through 6 here at EWC.
We were there. For every click, every clutch, every respawn. We were there for the years of grind, and we're here. Now, the proud founding partner of EWC, powering the biggest event in gaming, shoulder to shoulder with the world's best, making history. Greatness deserves a stage. Lenovo Legion, reach your impossible.
We are halfway done between Group A and Group B. Welcome back to LGS at EWC 26. And boy, strong teams started off really hot the first 2 matches, with Wolves and Falcons being able to secure that one, and then GG being able to get a win as well. But I want to, we were talking about APAC earlier. Guess what? Wolves coming in hot in that first game.
I mean, I thought I was going to cast a curse. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, talking about Wolves. I was like, yeah, no name, our MVP kind of underdog stuff. And then, is there a reverse cast a curse? Did I just do that? Maybe they're like, I'm trying to prove her wrong. I'm so sick of that, that lady just, ruining our games. And look, they did. In the final matches, when it was, I think it was JDG and GG, looking like one of those was sort of going to win at that moment in time. They sort of held that height in a sense. They were battling it out, but who was there lurking in the throes? It was, of course, Wolves Esports. And, a great thing about them too is, you've got Crazy Kong as well, and Gugu is like a newer addition to the team. But yeah, man, they cemented it very, very well, Seven.
I would just say, you definitely cast a curse in one of the teams that you said. You were talking about Genji hyping it up. They did come back a little bit, but it was definitely a rough 2 first game with those, a little bit of a donuts essentially. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Teams have also been popping off, and that's always a great thing to see. But I would also like to say, though, we saw a little bit in the interview, some teams are playing scared. You can definitely see that.
Well, all gamers, actually, I just got told this. All gamers, Janja just got his 1,000 knocks in ALGS. So that's really impressive.
That's more kills than you, right?
I don't know. I don't even know how much I have. Actually,
Not 1,000.
Actually, I think I might have. I don't know. We'll have to double check on that. We'll have to double check
Roll
on
the
that.
stats.
Not in live events.
Dude, I've been playing for No, not in live events. I'm saying
Not
through
live- oh, yeah.
He said ALGS. I've been playing
Yeah,
in
LGS.
circuits, bro.
I wonder how many people we have on that list at this point.
I think I'm pretty far up. I don't think I'm at 1,000, but I'm definitely
I
far
think
up.
I'm still kind of high up there after all these
Yeah,
years. I've been taking
that's
some
what
time
I'm
off.
saying.
I have 2.
The wash people are still here.
Here we go. What is Adam?
You got more than I do, by the way.
Yeah, don't-
But if
don't
anybody
forget
does have those stats, please let us know on social media. Make sure you tag us as well. And earlier we were talking about caster cursing. I'm sorry I'm going to have to do this to you tonight, but you were talking about Zeta earlier. After 2 matches, that squad ended up with 0 points. Maybe a little bit of a caster curse. You were concerned, though. You were really concerned about that team.
I was. We definitely caster cursed 2 of the 3 teams we talked about. So, we'll go with
Go
that.
team.
But Zeta, honestly, I mean, this was the biggest concern I had with that team is they dominated so much in their region in APAC North that I don't think they were ready for the firepower around the edge because they're such a fast-paced, aggressive team, and their region itself is not that style, and when you're the only one playing that, it's a lot easier to play around the edge. And you noticed it on this time around the edge, they're running into Falcons, they're running into AG, they're running into so many teams that are powerhouses on the edge. They're hitting beacons that's telling these more talented teams, oh, there's a team behind us, we need to watch our back, and they're ready for these things that a lot of these other minor teams in the APAC North region are not available for. So it's been a slow start for them, and it really just, we've seen the biggest difference in how, Wolves was coming out and they played zone.
Yeah.
And you have, Falcons win and they were playing the edge point of view, while Zeta really only knows how to play one style of game. And I think that they need to figure out how to mix in the zone style of gameplay, because as of right now, it's not working. Like you said, maybe they're playing scared, maybe they're doing it and it's causing their slow rotations, but it's a struggle for a team that ended so strong in their region.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, as you say, some teams start hot, some teams start cold, but you also have to keep in mind the meta, the way the meta is right now. It's incredibly fast-paced. All these teams that you're saying, if you just say it as it is, North American teams are very aggressive. It benefits them to such a huge degree that you're just capable of pulling that switch immediately, just fighting everybody. But will we see a difference as we lead into the series, as some of these legends start getting banned out? Will this be more favorable for them potentially? That's what we have to hope for.
Yeah, I was looking at the stats again, and Zeta's best map was E-District as well. So that is another concern. Their second best was Olympus, so we'll see how it goes into these final 3. Maybe it's just, that's something they felt they had and they were confident on, and they come into this next Storm Point map, maybe we'll see something different.
Well, let's see if there's maybe any other teams that need to be able to adjust on the fly too with this last 3 games between Group A and B. As we got the overall here, to a lot of people, no surprise there. Team Falcons, 43 points, sitting pretty at the top. If we were in finals, this team would have been so close, late, to already hitting match point.
I mean, look, Team Falcons in group stages, steamroll. I remember, I think it was last year, and I was chatting to Waltzy, and I was like, how are these group stages going for you? He's like, oh, it's like rank. And I was like, okay. So, they always perform in these group stages, but look, I'm not going to say they're going to choke a little later. It's Falcons, let's be real, but this is not unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Falcons, this is why I keep saying being a veteran in the game, having that team consistency. When you're talking about just the pure game knowledge and all the experience from HAL alone, I'm gonna say it. He could pick up 2 any players and probably still qual for land. Like, that's how top tier Alpha iJelly is. Definitely you and me. What do you mean? Definitely you and me.
Hal, maybe.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing, and it really goes to show the experience from it. And we can't discount Waltzy and Guild. Like, just the raw firepower. The fact that he can trust and believe in them, and they pull off fights and duels that not many people in this world can do. Of course, you're gonna steamroll. However, this is group stages. We'll see. I expect them to be in the first batch to move on past the survival, but finals is a completely different beast.
Yeah, finals is. I mean, we've seen it in the past, especially here at EWC, where we end up with just so many teams on that match point. And some teams, even though they've been able to clutch it before, we don't know if the pressure gets to them. Actually, we have 2 ex-pro players here. So let me ask you guys, when you get into those situations, right, with match point, and then you start getting even other teams get into the match point, does the pressure go higher? Do you start getting those nervous? Grace, I'm going to go with you first.
I mean, in the beginning, so let's be honest, there's a huge prize pool. Everybody's always hyped to play for it. If you're at the top end of it, top 5, top 10, I would say top 5 for sure, you're feeling not as pressured as you start in the, like if you're in the bottom 10, you're incredibly pressured because it's literally from, life-changing money from top 5 to, bottom 20. And when you have that as well, you just have to break through. And which is why I keep saying you have to be resilient. You have to learn to handle the pressure and work your way through it.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting things about the whole match point format, and we talked to a lot of these top teams, is none of them like being the first team to hit match point.
Yes.
I don't think any team has won being the first team to hit match point. So it's interesting how that dynamic works more than like gaining momentum as you go versus coming out strong and then feeling like you might need to change your gameplay because you're getting targeted, or switch your legend comp up to more defensive, like, the bots into the caustics or whatever it might be. Whereas the teams that gain momentum and gain consistency can start getting on a roll. And so it'll be curious. And one thing that you pointed out with we were talking about Falcons a little bit, it's PAL's teams in the past were not good group stage teams. I remember the first couple of years, they struggled to get out of groups. And then when they got into the lobbies with all the good teams where you could predict how teams are going to play, is when they would dominate. Now it seems like, it's not of that case. So you can see what happens when teams get comfortable and can get to that point. And now we're seeing top teams consistently get to the finals, match point, and end up in the top 5 or top 10 over and over and over.
Honestly, I love that insight, and I love what you were talking about too, Graceful, in regards to that prize pool, because first place, 600K, second place, 300K.
Still a ton.
That's still a ton. And this is the matches that we got coming up. Storm Point, is there something that you guys are going to be looking at here? I mean, we talked about some of these teams already starting off hot, right? We talk about some of the other stuff. Anything you want to see, Grace, in these 3 matches coming up?
So E-District is one of the maps that you're actually allowed to play the easiest because there's so many chokes that you can go through. Storm Point is also one of the maps you're able to play more comfortably than, let's just say, World's Edge as an example, or even Olympus, where you can get gate kept in chokes quite a lot. But now looking at Storm Point, there's a reason why so many teams immediately pick that map, because they're more scared of the results fluctuating on that map. So hopefully we get to see some people play a little bit more comfortably now that some of the legends are banned out, but we definitely need to see some teams wake up.
Yeah, I mean, if we have a look at the Snake Draft and then the, picking E-District over Storm Point, it actually looked like quite a few people prioritize Storm Point. And, it is a long-standing map, E-District, a little bit newer. Like, I was watching, I think it was it Falcons actually prioritized E-District. And then we also had Gen G prioritized E-District. But, you got to hit with them. But look, a lot of teams have chosen Storm Point to be their priority for their dropping spots and their POIs.
Yeah, we'll see what the POI actually ends up looking like. Earlier during lunch, we got a chance to talk to Hackies too. He's going to be coming up next after those 3 matches. He was saying he was feeling really good with the way that their draft went. So we'll see how that's going to end up working out for them. But overall, quick little setup. Which team do you want to see them step up here coming up in the next 3 matches? Just a quick team.
I mean, I want Gen G. I mean, they struggled. They came in late. We were talking them up, and I want to reverse the curse. 2 negatives make a positive, so let's just go with that.
Grace?
Definitely Gen G as well. Being Contai myself as a Thai person, we gotta share for that. We gotta be biased a little bit.
Lace, if you go with anybody else besides Gen G, I swear.
Yeah, the same.
Okay, all right, there you go. Let's send it over to Dan and Onsen and see if maybe they also want to see Gen G step it up.
Well, let's see if Gen G can fulfill some wishes here for our lovely analysts up in the rafters. Dan, great to be back on LAN, I will say. Onset and Gaskin here to bring you the next 3 games in Group A versus B, and we are heading over now to Storm Point. We leave E-District in our past for a few moments, Dan, and now we've got 3 more games in front of us on this beautiful, beautiful map.
Yeah, and I like what the analysts were talking about as well, just some of these teams that are focusing Storm Point instead. A little bit more comfortable for them. Zeta Division, for example, a squad who picked it first, wanted to make sure they used that advantage coming out from APAC North as the #1 seed, the best APAC North team on Storm Point as well. So I'm expecting them to do some big things here on the map. That being said, in international competition, everything suddenly changes. A lot of the playstyle they may have been used to over in APAC North, it gets blown out of the window here. So I'm excited to see how that changes going into this one.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned international competition as well. It's one of the fantastic and fascinating things about the Apex Legends Global Series is that we do get to see so many regions coming together. And in the first 3 games, we have winners from 3 different regions. You have, of course, GG, who won a game. You have Wolves, who won that first game. And, of course, you have Falcons as well in the middle, who won that second game. So everybody seems to be performing at a level across regions at the moment. Of course, only 3 games gone, but it's a good sign early on, I think, for fans of all different regions around the globe.
Very good sign indeed, and I think that there's going to be a lot of fans here cheering for various different teams. It's about are your teams going to be the loudest? Are your fans going to be the loudest? Certainly Falcons fans are very happy with their performance so far. But GG, I mean, the consistency we've seen from Gaming Gladiators at the moment, we have to be talking about from 5th to 2nd to 1st. If they can carry on with that kind of performance, they should dominate this group.
Yeah, they certainly should indeed. And they are a team to keep an eye on as we get our way through the matches, and hopefully the consistency will keep going for them. Another team who I think will certainly show signs of consistency. I am very impressed with Wolves. I think that their playstyle is going to mesh very well with the LAN environment. A lot of good performances historically from them as well, and certainly a dark horse, in my personal opinion, for when we get to match point. Should they make it to match point finals, of course, on the final day here, then they could be a team who we're talking about potentially moving forward to lift that trophy.
And the players taking a look at the POI draft as well, just checking who's dropping where they're going to be competing, where are these players going to be approaching from. And speaking of Wolves, they had 2nd pick and they went with Sito Station. So again, some of these teams that maybe haven't got as many points at the moment might be able to put some big ones on the board here as we can actually take a closer look at this POI draft. And you can see the numbers next to them. So many of these teams wanted to pick Stormpoint first, whether it's about being comfortable, whether it's about looking at those stats and seeing how many points you can pick up on a map like Stormpoint. It doesn't matter as long as you get the job done. It wasn't until we went into the 9th pick that we saw something a little bit different.
And of course, this has been an interesting kind of revolution when it comes to the POI draft and who is picking what POIs ever since the Tridents were removed. So all of a sudden, Central POIs became a little bit more popular than they had been previously. Some of those POIs that had those Tridents now not quite as popular as they once were. And then you factor in, of course, maybe some ring consistencies that you're seeing in scrims. All of this starts to go into how you're going to decide where you want to play from come that POI draft and where you're going to be playing from here on Stormpoint. Historically, though, those northern POIs have been very, very popular simply because of the geometry of Stormpoint moving from that high ground down to that low.
Yeah, that's why people still like to pick them. You're comfortable as well, but it looks like Stormpoint is beginning to get locked in here in Paris. And as we've said, some of these teams are going to be far more comfortable here. They may have struggled on E-District, but that does not matter now. We've had 3 legends that have been banned going into this one, and we will see Crypto gone, Sia gone, and Maggie disappearing.
Yeah, Maggie gone as well. When you've got Sia and Maggie gone already, that's 2 of the most aggressive legends that we have in the Apex Legends Global Series. Banned. They won't be playable in these next 3 games as we hop in with a team who won't care what legends get banned at the moment because their form has been fantastic in the first 3. GG on your screens as we take a look at where that zone is going to be going.
Yeah, heading to the southeast by the looks of things then, and it certainly means there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to utilize Valkyrie here. You're going to see a lot of Valk in the lobby, and I think Dory will be extremely happy because down towards Dev Coast, a lot of these teams will be able to find space to work with, but Dory will be able to set up first. But just look at how the lay of the land changes with those legend bands that have come in here on set. The amount of Valks that are now there, Newcastle, Gibraltar, the baby comp is very much alive and kicking.
There is just a sprinkling of my boy Pathfinder. Of course, huge bust recently to Pathfinder, finally well welcomed by the entire community. He is in there as well, but one thing to notice here for Dory, we mentioned how Dev Coast is probably going to be where our endgame is taking place. No ring console for them, Dan, so they're not going to have that second ring information. Team Falcons, though, over Launchpad, they are going to have that info.
Yeah, Dory are going to suddenly be looking to the skies, and it will be like situation of can they react quick enough. Thankfully, they've looted pretty close. Sometimes when you get into these situations, you can get a sporadic looting scenario, and then you will be caught off guard. But now they'll see For Fun and Virtus Pro both approaching from Pylon for Fun. Virtus Pro being able to move on that eastern side, and I'm sure Falcons might be there a little bit later too.
Yeah, we take a look at VP now on their rotate down to this southern side. You can see For Fun set up on that high ground, the kind of hanging buildings that we do have down at the bottom of Devastated Coast, and VP are going to now play one of these buildings, the broken buildings down on the low ground that are slightly submerged. There's going to be some soggy socks down here, Dan.
You know what? I hate soggy socks, but Falcons now will find that building. Like I said, they were going to move a little bit later than others. They just wanted to make sure they evac from somewhere a little bit more comfortable, but it's not necessarily a comfortable landing as well, just because they are going to take the lower ground. But For Fun, they will be in a priority position now for quite some time. Having a bow check on your back is not the worst.
Interesting to see how this zone plays into some of the legend compositions we're seeing as well. You quite rightly highlighted we're seeing a little bit of baby comp start to come to the fore. Gibraltar, Newcastle, Watson, the more defensive legends that we do have available. And when you've got some of these broken buildings, if this is an earlier game, this is a much more difficult spot. And building kind of environment to try and hold down as a team. When you've got Newcastle, when you've got Gibraltar, all of a sudden it becomes a much more comfortable place, as Falcons will show you now.
So we've got about 10 teams already moved to the southeast, but there's still going to be a lot of late movers, not worth moving as fast. Instead, they'll just play the game of trying to build up their economy, essentially. There's a little bit of a skirmish happening for the teams that did move early, but there's not usually going to result in actually any full-on engagement. Instead, it's a poke battle, start to build up your own shields. If you do get a knock, sometimes you might be a little bit tempted, but I don't think it's going to happen.
One composition that certainly interested me and raised my eyebrow, Daniel Gass.
Just the one?
Just the one. It's going to be JDG. They are running Axel, Catalyst, and Gibraltar, which is very much against the grain when it comes to everyone else in the lobby. We'll have to see if that aggressive composition is going to help them out. Dory do manage to survive up on that high ground. The one difficulty for them, of course, with the zone pulling their way. No access to any nearby Evo to get up to blue shields, so they're going to have to do it all with the guns here to get a little bit more comfortable. And if they get sniffed out a little bit later in the game with those white armors, then you wouldn't be surprised to see a team Valcolting in wanting to take that fight.
I like the teams that are being brave to go against the grain, though. Go for a different composition. It's going to last through a few more games. You can get comfortable on it, and you're not going to have any awkward experiences changing over. Now, speaking of awkward experiences, an engagement that's going to be happening up towards the north, kind of between Cascade and Command Center at the moment.
Zipline building. And it's Unlimit. And Yolari, man, if you don't know him, you will know soon. Fans of the Apex Legends Global Series from watching in Japan will know the damage this man can do. But he's not going to be able to output too much here on Axel. It's going to be AG who managed to take him down. Elsewhere in the feed, Waltzy just got knocked from Falcons. Should be able to be dragged back to his feet, though. But AG holding strong here on the zipline building.
Zeta Division kind of hovering above them, quite literally flying past them at the moment, actually. Considering whether they should get involved here, but it looks like they're just going to be watching over this one for now. It's a very difficult team to actually take a fight against, is AG, so you've got to be careful with this approach, as now Zeta are just going to try and clean up the remaining pieces here.
Somehow.
And just play a nuisance.
Somehow Yolari, man, is still alive. He's downed, of course, but he's on his knees. Finally, it's going to be Yuku who gets the finish onto him, so it's not going to be able to be rezzed, but an opportunity at least for the rest of Unlimit to escape, thanks to the pressure that was being put on by Zeta. So Zeta now going to move towards this Evo Harvester, trying to grab that, get those shields up, as now it presents the opportunity for AG to hunt down the remaining members of Unlimit. But this Mastiff is looking a little bit shaky here, and Jaguares needs to recalibrate this gun.
Thankfully, in a 3 versus 2, you can afford to miss a few of those shots. They saw Zeta Division go off on their merry way, and they said, thank you very much, we'll clean up the rest. There is going to be one player still escaping from Unlimit, so they're not going to be eliminated from the lobby. Still 20 teams alive and kicking here. You just got to be careful where you're going if you're Unlimit, because they're going to head west to try and get back up to a full 3. You've got the likes of Shopify Rebellion that are still there. Zeddy as well are going to be approaching from that side.
Fantastic example of warning shots coming in there. Exactly what you can do with the Mastiff when you've got a teammate alongside you who is hitting the shots. As we jump over to Shopify Rebellion now, a little bit of a different rotate through the center of the map for them. They're currently in Jurassic. They do have Ring Console and a Survey Beacon here to hit, so they're going to be able to get up pretty close to Purple Armors as well as getting that information. Looks like from there, of course, they'll be moving probably towards Pylon, where Flat and Genji Esports find themselves at the moment for even more info, and then maybe looking to approach the zone a little bit later on.
Surprisingly, by the way, Valkyrie is the most picked legend as well in this lobby. When you look at bans, you look at what's been happening in terms of where that's been going throughout scrims. It's been fairly normal leading up to this point, but definitely changes can occur now as we go into Storm Point. It does change the situation slightly, and Valkyrie's such an important legend to have, especially with zones like this, where a lot of the early real estate is going to have been taken, so you have to try and force your way in a little bit later.
Yeah, this is the difficult one for this kind of zone. I mean, Graceful was talking about it on the desk, saying, you know, E-District is great because there's so many playable spots. You can get into zone pretty comfortably if you were running some of the compositions that we could see here. But now with this composition and this zone and the change of map over to Storm Point, the fact we're going over to Dev Coast, some of these buildings are very, very shaky. Some of these buildings don't have roofs, for example, as you can see here. So arriving late is very, very difficult to do. You're going to be relying on that Gibraltar bubble when you land to get that one down and give yourself a little bit of safety.
Just checking in with some of the replays as well. I was talking about the poke battles. Well, sometimes you do get those knocks. Don't usually result in actually getting the full kill. Now, just going back to the importance of building up shields before you land as well. If you are one of those teams that's arriving late, one thing you can bank on is the teams that moved early may not be too high up on their shield economy. They may just be on blue, so you have to get up to purples, just like Shopify Rebellion have done. So if you are going to land and take a fight, you at least get a slight advantage in terms of those shields.
Of course, you do get also the ability to fly into the skies immediately using that purple perk here on Valkyrie. So it's a little bit safer to Valcult from spot A to spot B. For Shopify Rebellion, only 12 points on the board at the moment. A bit of a quiet start for them, but I would say this is one of the teams that started to pick up form towards the end of the split and also in scrims leading up to this event. I think it's very important that they did so as well. Confidence is huge for a team like Shopify Rebellion, and I think if they can continue that with a couple of good games in the group stages, then they certainly will be a team to beat come the end of this tournament.
The biggest teams have star players, and even though the entirety of the Shopify Rebellion roster are stars, Koiful, for me, is just one of those guys you can rely on to perform something magnificent when you least expect it. And if he can be that guy for them in those kind of fights and engagements, maybe we can see Shopify Rebellion go all the way through here at the ALGS Esports World Cup.
Do they know? Do they know?
Surprise!
They're gonna know. Bubble goes down. Neazul goes back up because his teammate has decided that he is sending this one. Yanya gets all sorts of aggressive on the fuse, and it's going to cost him badly. He will go down. Neazul now has to fall down. Has to try and hold the push, and they will be able to get Yanya back on his feet. But AG, it's only momentary, as Yanya will be back down again. 4 seconds till that bubble's back up here. Defensive bombardment goes in, but it looks like Zeta are going to hold their ground here and look to hold this bridge for a late Valcult a little bit later on in the game.
This is where you count your blessings. You have a Gibraltar, right? If you don't have the Gibby there, then you are not surviving. The electrified bubble just allowed them to get the reset, get back up, and now they can reposition. I think you're right. I don't think they had any clue they were up there. And it was a little bit of a jump scare, but utilized their legends perfectly to make sure they were able to escape. But now, where do you even go? They're going to have to think quickly here.
I can't like the decision from Zeta as well. I mentioned how it would have been very easy to try and push that fight, to be aggressive, having got that knock, but risky to drop down, but also risky to give up that bridge position for a late Valcult in towards where this zone is going to be doing. Max height, max distance, you really can see the lay of the land. So I like that decision, smart, kind of conservative, but certainly works for them.
Love this rotation from Team Heretics as well. They've been able to skirt all the way through on the southwest. They may surprise Trinity if they don't get spotted, and if they can actually take that fight and win, they put themselves in a very nice position to be able to rotate all the way to the south, but it's going to be down to whether Trinity actually see them and get sightlines on them.
Yeah, it looks like Trinity are watching their backs at the moment, just looking at our overhead map and where those minimap arrows are pointing. Zeddy, who were involved in that end game, in game number 3 on E-District, well, gonna get a little bin reset here. And they're gonna not just get a bin reset, wow, they're gonna get a mythic bin popping up next to them, so that's gonna be plenty of goodies for them to work with, as they will have Valkyrie in the composition, as well as many of these teams take to the skies a little bit later and try to get in. There is the big gun, the Kraber, unlimited ammo, and Jelly says, I will take that.
It's a big responsibility, but if anyone can do it, it's going to be Jelly. Love watching his POV. As now Genji, actually, are they going to try and go for a little wrap round as well? Try and get behind Team Heretics. This would be great for Trinity. These were the teams we were talking about on that southern side. Unlimit might actually force the rotation here from Genji as well. Are they going to be quick enough to move? Or will we see Genji be going down early again here in these games? Of course, we do manage to get up into the sky and away, but it's going to be out of the frying pan and into the fire here by the looks of things.
Yeah, you wonder if they took any damage, as they did take to the skies from Unlimit, who have gone back into Pylon to hit that survey beacon and get the lay of the land. And look at the damage that Genji did take. They're going to have to land here. They are going to rely on Dexter potentially to get a bubble down and keep them alive, but they look safe enough. Zicky's going to get that battery popped, and they will be able to stabilize here in the kill feed. Elsewhere, Flat taking a lot of damage, and it's a combination of Wolves and Shopify Rebellion that are picking up some of those knocks.
This is what happens when you hesitate as well, as Flat will be eliminated in 20th position. Genji now get ahead of Trinity and Heretics essentially in this race, and again, Valkyrie just being so important to that factor. I love that they didn't panic bubble though. They waited, they made sure just in case they still kept that bubble up.
Yeah, great stuff from Genji to get into that position. A slow start for them. I mean, the three of them, they're running on fumes and passion here on day number 1, but it's going to be enough, hopefully, to see them get some points on the board. One team who, of course, does have points on the board after a fantastic first 3 games is the team on your screen, GG. 41 points from 3 games for them as they approach now where they want to play in towards this zone. No Newcastle for them. They've got the Watson instead in the composition. They do have the Gibraltar bubble as well available if they do want to take to the skies, but space is now paying off this time around for Unlimit, not just to get the knock, but to keep them alive and allow them to reset here. Neazul. Oh, Stubby looking to peek through the window, but couldn't get the gun up. as the Jets were coming down. AG look like they're holding once again here. Unlimited have taken damage, have taken knocks. Now it's up to AG if they want to push this one. The Fuse behind the knockdown shield. The Knuckle Cluster should flush them out. Yanya's down though. A Skynade from Peace. A Jaguares Mastiff starts to work just in time. He hits the big shots and AG will win that fight.
It was isolated as well. No one's a third party. They'll have time to reset, but they of course have to start thinking about moving sooner rather than later, as Team Heretics have now got amongst things, but they are very much struggling to stay up as Trinity do get eliminated as well.
Yarn's a little defensive nade coming in there. The frag grenade goes down. The wall will also go down. Team Heretics now safe inside of this zone. But are they safe from the amount of damage that's coming in? And there is a Fuse ult breaching behind. The Motherload from Prestis is phenomenal. Takes down 2 and Heretics will be back into the lobby.
So Zeta Division will be able to control this spot, control this northern side now of the circle, and think of all the teams that are going to be going. So Zeta need to be on their P's and Q's here. You have to pay attention to everyone arriving from that northern side. And then you've got all these teams who, you spoke about it, all these buildings that have these gaps. You've got to be aware of where people are landing, because you will be vulnerable from so many angles.
Zeta do find somewhere to call safe. Prestis doesn't feel safe right now. He's got a lot of teams around him, but one of those teams who's now sharing the building is going to be PXX right next to them. Zeddy will be safe behind their Newcastle wall. That's going to eat up some of those missiles. Kinasame Havoc have just gone down as AG continue to build a bit of momentum here down. They are picking up team wipe after team wipe down on this northern side, and now they've got to continue to do so as they have a long way to go towards this zone.
I do wonder, with a team like AG, who historically sometimes have that, last-minute ditch effort to get into finals lobbies. And I tell you what, you got to make sure that Yanya gets back up on his feet so you don't feel those uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, that Kraber hurts. Yanya's going to tell him that. And now we're seeing the zip line come out from Neazul. They do get the reset by the looks of things. And they should be able to take that zip line and reset here, as Jaguares will be last man to arrive, having had to pop that battery. Defensive bombardment goes down, but now the zone is going to be at their back. And their health is going to be chipped away. Relove DCG, they will be down next. 14 squads remain as AG might be next to fall.
AG will go down, such a good fighting team, but on rotation, sadly, too many eyes on them. That's what happens down in the south here at Dev Coast. Now you can see another team fall as well. Suddenly the kill feed lighting up. As we move further into the southeast, Gaming Gladiators have been able to find a fantastic spot on the southern side.
PXX next team out. 12 squads now remain as Shopify Rebellion are trying to pressure Dory inside of this building. You can see how far they have to go. They've got around a minute or so until that zone forces them to move. But before they do so, they want to try and move. In the kill feed, by the way, No Name with that Kraber has picked up another scalp. It's going to be Yuka who's going to be going down.
A lot of engagements being forced here, and actually there's third parties that are going to be happening. Now Gen G will start to move in, but they're approaching 4 different teams. You can't just force this engagement. You've got to be aware of all the other squads, and Gen G do slightly back off here.
Yeah, VP are just trying to hold. They're the team that are kind of gatekeeping everything on this eastern side. There's VP, Zeddy, Gen G all sharing these buildings. You can see on the map overhead here. But it's Gen G who are going to have to force their way in. They've already lost one, and it's not looking good for Gen G here. They're trying to stick the res, but there's a Motherload. And Dexter and Asia, they might not be long for this lobby.
They're starting to smell blood though now. And you start to see those knocks in the kill feed, you know it's now or never, and you're not in zone at the moment. VP's building is the only one that actually will be even slightly, even remotely in that zone. So they have the slight advantage here. They can play a little bit slower and force Gen G and Zeddy to do something.
Ooh, Jelly with that infinite ammo. Kraber needs to hit some big shots here to clear a path towards this end game for the rest of his team. Asia back on his feet. Somehow they've got back to a full 3 here. Nitro pack goes down, which allows Asia to just about pop that battery, but I stand corrected as he will be taken down as VP continue to hold.
Those are the frustrating ones when you are so close to getting the battery. 20 seconds, by the way, till that zone does fully close in. And all these teams now are starting to be forced left, right, and center. Ammo is not looking great for a lot of these teams as Wolves Esports do get eliminated.
And no more Kraber shots coming in for Wolves. No Name will be ruining the fact that he couldn't pull the trigger a few more times. But look at Gen G, by the way. Survivability. The cockroaches in the lobby, they will not go down here. They hit the Nitro gate. Dory out next. As 10 squads now remain, half the lobby's gone.
So many teams still alive in such a short amount of time as well. There's going to be left before this next zone goes in. 55 seconds. GG do get removed from the south. Huge fight just won by JDG.
Another top 10 for GG though. It's going to be more points for them as finally Gen G Esports up on that high ground will be taken down. Too many teams surrounding them with lines of sight onto them on that rock. Just weren't able to to reset one more time. VP, you mentioned this building was going to be the safest for the longest. Well, they're using it to their advantage here as Taskmaster with this 30-30 is doing damage to Shopify Rebellion, who are being peppered, who are being burnt, and might about to be sent on as Falcons will be out the lobby. Shopify do go down as well.
Didn't even have to send it in the end. VP were able to use utility so effectively there. Now they begin to move. The team closest to them is going to be TIE as For Fun starts getting involved in this engagement.
This is one of the quickest movements from Pylon towards where this zone was going to be headed. Zenetic wants to finish this one off. He's blasting behind the knockdown shields, but not contacting with Zuki the way that he wants to. Finally, Zeta Division will be down as we're into our top 5, and For Fun from the high ground continue to control the space in this endgame.
That is a better performance by Zeta Division though, showing that they are far more comfortable here on Storm Point as now zone begins to close. TIE arguably in one of the best spots alongside Virtus Pro. On the west though, Zeddy versus For Fun, that's going to change a lot of it because For Fun have the high ground. In theory, they can win.
Back on a jelly cam. Let's see if the cam matches the name and he's shaky, or if he's still when it comes to hitting these big shots. Elsewhere, JDG, they've just been nuked out of the lobby. VP take care of them. TIE, they're going to sweep in behind as F-Chan takes down one as Zeddy now make their move up to the heights.
That's such a good position from Zeddy as well. They'll take the position off of For Fun. They get 2, should get a 3rd as well. But all the meanwhile, TIE versus VP, and it's going to be a 3v3. TIE, Zeddy, final circle.
Jelly got an armor swap at just the right time here. Pinator is down. So it's a 3v2, the bubble goes down, and it's time for Zeddy to try and send it to call themselves the champion by taking down the final players. One has fallen, that's going to be Jelly, dragged back to his feet by the Newcastle as Dupe swoops in, and Zeddy will win your game 4.
They call it the Dupe swoop, but Zeddy, they deserved that one because there was aggressive position they took away from For Fun. And they just timed it perfectly. They were able to read the lobby, see the kill feed going on. They knew they had the advantage going into that final engagement.
Really impressive stuff from them, and it was a combination of For Fun and Zeddy who were playing kind of different levels of that zone. It was Zeddy who were underneath that high ground building for quite some time in the end game. For Fun, they did a great job by getting into that position early with the early rotation that came in from Pylon. But in the end, it's the Americas who have another winner here in our game number 4 on Storm Point.
And it does just take so much pressure off, doesn't it? In day 1, if you can get that win on the board as well, you know you are playing at your very best as well. Frustrating for some of the teams. There's those hand-in-head moments, hand-on-head moments. What could have been had we moved around, had we not dropped the player in that situation?
Had I hit a massive shot?
Had we not taken that much damage? Had I hit a Kraber shot? These fine margins between teams as we look back at some of the highlights. I love the position from TIE throughout the majority of the game, by the way. I think they were unfortunate they lost that one player during the skirmish with VP, but this was one from Zeddy. Look at the positioning Jelly took, taking that high ground on that rock, and it really gave them the advantage.
Yeah, the Golden Nater as well in the endgame with a double tap on it really just is a problem, to say the least, when you get into those short-range battles. Zenetic up in the skies, a little bit of clay pigeon shooting for them as Duplex moved in and popped off in the final moments here. And once again, Zeddy proving they are here to play at the Split 1 playoffs at EWC.
I think going through these first couple of days, it is going to be a question of, who is going to be up to the task? Who is going to show that they can actually roll with the big dogs? And any wins on the board will raise eyebrows in a good way. Both of them, not just a single one.
Double eyebrow raise.
A double eyebrow raise.
Wow. Got me shocked, Daniel Gaskin. Kind of thing on day 1 is I'm ready for the dates to continue. If you get a double eyebrow raise, love that from you.
And I think that all the players would have been looking at that final circle saying, actually, had we transitioned a little bit differently on the southwest side in particular, there was vulnerable teams on that side. And a lot of people just committed to Valkyrie because you're scared. You don't really know what's ahead of you.
Yeah. So you're going to use it, right? I think it's an interesting zone for that.
You kick yourself afterwards, but it's always a hindsight situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's one of the zones where composition certainly played into that a little bit. A lot of teams had a very similar plan on how they were going to approach it. And you're quite right. The one team I think who had a slightly different way of approaching it was TIE down that southwest side, who kind of wrapped the rest of the lobby and let all of those Valcolts happen in front of them, and then were able to swoop in as and when they needed to. But it's actually the Valkyrie, surprise, surprise, who made the difference in the end game as well, being able to jet up to that top of that rock, the armor swap that came in, making sure that they were all healthy as well, which is very important. go into that final fight. But TIE very, very calculated on the way that they played that game. By the way, JDG into the top 5 as well. Very good game for them, who have secretly and quietly been going about their business as well, picking up a couple of points in these first 4 games. But as we move over to game 5, you start to look at games remaining, don't you, in a set here in A versus B. And with only 2 remaining, that's only a certain finite amount of points for these teams to collect before they think about playing again tomorrow.
The win for Zeddy puts them up into second place, just behind Team Falcons as well, but it's getting pretty tight between those top 3. Falcons, Zeddy, and Gaming Gladiators are clear leaders, but who's actually going to be able to take that initiative going into 5 and 6? Speaking of 5, we will not have Valkyrie. So for everything we were just talking about, you know, the height advantage you're able to gain, being able to force your way into the final circle, changes everything now without being able to go up into the sky with that skyward dive. And it does change composition significantly going into this one.
It certainly does. We're going to have to see if maybe we see a little bit more Pathfinder as that rotational option, as Valkyrie, as you can see here, is going to be the next legend to be banned. Maybe a little bit of Pathfinder, maybe a little bit of Catalyst. A
bit of Wraith as well, yeah.
Popping his way. Bangalore maybe as well. Maybe we'll see Caustic come back into the compositions as well, which may increase the pick rate of Bangalore as a counter. All these things to be considered by the teams, and of course the coaches who have stood behind them as well. So many lovely moving pieces, Dan. Go into these decisions. I'm glad that I don't have to make them.
We've still got plenty of Alta as well. Alta still hasn't been banned, so could come back into the fray if you would like to. I know she's more prevalent on Easy Strict, but if those are more comfortable on that legend, then there is always that choice as well. Sometimes, well, back in the day, Alta
in mind, you know, when we look at those total points overall, the group stage will be the end of the tournament for some of these teams. So even though it's only 4 games gone in the tournament so far, if you're down at the bottom right now, you're probably starting to think we need to pick the pace up here with just 2 games remaining in this set. Otherwise, we could be thinking about spending a bit more time in Paris outside of EWC than we really wanted to.
And whilst there are a lot of teams that will get through to the survival stage, and you think, oh, you know, if it's only a few teams from the groups, it's not too bad. But suddenly, as you say, if you are down right at the bottom, it starts to get a little bit more nervy. And a win here, some points here in these groups would be absolutely massive for your chances. And again, just to ease the nerves, similarly to what I was saying previously about Zeddy as well. Now it will just allow them to relax and focus on this one. And now they're up into the top 3 with that victory. That shows how close it was previously.
Of course, that's what they're playing for there, that beautiful trophy that is on the stage. Of course, the key of the winning team will be going into that trophy to crown themselves the... it's a long way to go. Long way. I'm getting way ahead of myself. It's a long tournament, this one. But we will have a champion at the end of it. Promise you that. A long way to go. Of course, defending champions, VK Gaming. They're going to be here as well, defending their crown a little bit later on. Not in this lobby, but they will be playing a little bit later today. As we just wander our way through the crowd to look at some of the awesome people. By the way, people who get here on day 1 early, best fans in the world. Shout out to you.
Always appreciate the dedication, the passion.
The last day pretenders. Yeah, turn up for the big games.
How dare they work on the weekdays and be available on the weekends?
They should have been booked off months in advance. Anyway, looks like we're almost ready to get into our next game here. Thank you for bearing with us, everybody. Match 4 is done, and it's time for Match 5 as we continue here on Stormpoint.
And with Valkyrie now gone and banned, composition is going to look very different. And I do think we're going to see the biggest Legend selection and disparity that we've had so far in this series. I can already see across my screen we've got Sparrow that's come in now. We've got some Wraiths that are starting to join the fray. Pathfinder, as Onset had mentioned as well. Plenty of different decisions have been made, but the majority seem to have teetered towards Wraith as their primary rotation Legend.
Yeah, it looks like Gibraltar very, very popular as well as kind of the anchor Legend for a lot of these teams. It's Zeddy Esports on your screen, the winners of game number 4. Well, they're going to be making their way towards this zone from Northpad. Speaking of which, an interesting one for everybody to watch here. It's looking like it's going to be down south of Cito, maybe out towards some of those watery areas, but it's looking like potentially a Cito zone here, maybe up on that high ground between Jurassic and Cito.
Well, good news for Wolves, who you were mentioning previously. We were talking about the damage output they've had so far, but not necessarily the conversion from it. I'm not sure they have a ring console, though, so they may not be aware of it, but they're certainly going to see everyone joining quite quickly. Relove, For Fun have all moved. JD Gaming have also got a ring console down towards Barometer as well. Speaking of damage difference, JD Gaming have been one of those teams throughout Pro League that have had an incredible damage difference.
They certainly have indeed, and just looking at other teams that might have an option to hit a quick rotate here. You got PXX as well over at Cascade Falls, who are in a good position to find their way in towards zone. We'll have to see what other teams are going to be able to make their way in though.
That we will indeed. And, you know, Shopify Rebellion, I don't even think they would mind this circle they're going to get. They're going to be able to hit that down towards Cenote and move pretty quickly indeed. Shopify Rebellion didn't really get to take advantage of their position in the previous game because they were held out by some games. Now, we have a quick pause at the moment, of course, while we sort things out for the players on the stage. But it, of course, allows us, Mark, to have a little longer look at some of these teams in their positions.
Yeah, it certainly does. 30 seconds or so on the pause, so we'll get back into the game as soon as we can. Just looking at who has the console, so it's always something to point out, and it gives us an opportunity, maybe if you're tuning into Apex Legends for the first time here, if you're wandering through the Esports World Cup and the incredible venue that we do have here, and you just sat down, you talk a bit about Apex Legends, you're like, hey, I love the Apex Legends Global Series all of a sudden. Well, ring console is very important. That's going to give you the information on where that next zone is going to be going. So when you see that little icon in some of these POIs that you can see near, best example of it, JD Gaming down that southern side of Barometer, they hit that, they're going to know where the console is going to be taking the teams and where that zone is going to be going. So if you've got that, good news. And it looks like also better news, Dan. Looks like the pause is finished. We're moving.
We love quick pauses and making sure that everything is going to be right on the stage for these teams. By the way, Trinity, another team that moved early previously, are going to try and take one of these prio positions as well, but they may have arrived a little bit later than they would have liked. Sometimes it is a bit of a gamble, moving instantly. You can kind of wait and bide your time, but if you do, you can get caught out on your rotation as well.
Genji, I'm sending you all of my energy. I believe in you in this game at number 5. They're going to be over at Echo HQ right now, so they're going to have a little bit of rotate down on that southern side. Potentially they could go through Pylon, but Coastal Camp probably, I'd imagine, is a more juicy looking option for them, as they're going to have a ring console and a survey beacon down there to not just level up those Evos, but get them a little bit more information. Also, I'm seeing Advantage. Zicky's on Vantage. Love to see that in a game 4. Didn't think I'd see that in a game 4.
Sleep deprivation does make you do some crazy things sometimes with your Legend selection. Did they actually mean to? That's always the thing. I'm looking forward to see how they compete when they have had a good night's rest. Of course, only arriving today into Paris. But I'm just thankful that they are here and they are able to compete. Speaking of competing, there's a lot of competition for position at the moment. And PXX are able to get into one of these buildings and avoid the gunfire as they approached.
Yeah, difficult to hold these ones down though. The good news is there's not too many fuses in the lobby and there's no Sears due to the ban a little bit earlier on, so it's a little bit more comfortable to hold down. The likes of Watson are going to be more influential and more powerful with the lack of counters that are available of Legends that are going to be run by other teams. So if you can get into a spot early here, actually pretty good chance that you're going to be able to hold it down for the longer game. On Limit, they're going to be running Axel still, so they have an option to be aggressive. JDG also still relying on Axel, as are Team Heretic. So outside of those teams though, you're looking at Wraith and Kidnaps as being the only option to kind of unsettle one of those teams who's bunkered down.
And we are going to see more teams start to run slightly more aggressive compositions as well as we get towards the end of this series and this set. You want to be able to put points on the board, and as Mark was alluding to, if you are falling behind, you could be vulnerable come that elimination part of this stage, and you don't want to be sent home that early on in the competition.
Wolves up on this high ground of Cito Station. You mentioned that they were dropping over here. They're going to have the ability to play this height, the overarching height, for quite some time. It's going to be an interesting next zone pull, though, as we already see an attempt at a kidnap coming in from Wolves. They saw the Ranger jumping down from the high ground to see if they can pick up a KP and steal away a player. Falcons, a little bit of a different rotation for them, and they're going to be running into Team Heretics now, and that longbow is going to be singing a song that doesn't sound good for Falcons, and certainly not for Imperial Hal.
Looks like Hal's been able to get out of that sight line, though, so they should be able to stabilize. They're just going to have to reconsider their approach of how they want to move from this position. And I'm not sure they even know where they're getting shot from at the moment. They're kind of just scouting around, and now finally they do get eyes on. That will allow them to assess the situation far better. Now, you might disagree with me here, Mark, but I just think I would rather be one of these teams who is approaching from the edge. I would be frustrated if I was a team like Wolves and the zone has come my way. Wolves are one of those incredible fighting teams that maybe they want to just get out of that system in the early stages of the game, be able to build up that economy on their shields, and then move in and engage more a little bit later. But of course, they are well practiced for when the zone does come their way as well.
I think Wolves being up on the high ground is not too bad a thing for them, because they've already got up to blue. So that's not going to be too much a concern. And the fact that it is such an overarching height here at Cito Station, and they have the Newcastle as well to get that wall down, they're going to be able to do a lot of poke damage. Something that was interesting to highlight, though, just on that other side of the map is I think Sparrow is actually going to be a pretty good pick as an aggressive character in this lobby. Think about flushing those Newcastle teams out, those Watson teams out. You really can use that bolt to unsettle some of those teams that are going to be sitting inside of those buildings.
Yeah, and I do wonder whether, utilizing that alongside Alter, for example, Team Heretics running Sparrow, Alter, and Axel, that is as aggressive as it gets, really. Not only can you get into the action very quickly, but you have multiple ways to get out of said action at the same time. So expect Heretics to be taking a couple of fights here or there. They're going to be on the eastern side of the map at the moment. They're going to be one of the late arrivals. The same could be said for Zeta Division, who are here on the north, and they're going to be hitting the survey beacon to get a little bit more of a lay of the land here and see who's going to be ahead of them in terms of player.
I know someone's close. 3 enemies were scanned within the vicinity of that survey beacon. It's going to be Zeddy Esports who are closest over at Checkpoint. Speaking of Checkpoint, by the way, Shopify Rebellion have just arrived. So there will still be three players close to Zeta, but it's not going to be Zeddy. It's actually going to be Shopify, who have kind of counter-rotated where Zeddy were and taken their spot away.
And the thing is, Zeta will know no different. They just know there are enemies in the vicinity, and Shopify Rebellion are going to now be the team they are focusing on. They just wouldn't know it was a different squad beforehand. The thing is, Shopify Rebellion may not know they were scanned, because they weren't. It was a different team. So Shopify Rebellion may be unaware of Zeta's position here. But they've, of course, come up north to get some information themselves, as well as upgrade some guns, and, of course, hit that harvester.
So it's a survey beacon for them to play with. That's where the zone's going to be going, and you can already see, pretty much any playable spot that is a building has gone. JDG down on that southern side, though, very interesting position for them. Probably thinking about pushing in towards the waterfall for the late game, maybe fighting for that high ground. But I'm interested to see where the zone actually pulls after this one. If it's going to continue in closer towards Cito, up onto that hillside, and the waterfall area instead down on that southern side. So where these teams are split at the moment, you can see a lot of teams are kind of hedging their bets a little bit. It's safer to play in the buildings of Cito, but if you take that risk down on the other side and it pulls your way, you can have such a clear walk-in.
And of course, these teams still don't know. JD Gaming don't know it's pulled a little bit further up north yet. They only have the initial zone information they were able to gather. So when that zone does come in, perhaps we'll start to see them move a little bit further north. An interesting engagement could be happening here on the southeast side of the map. Gen.G and Unlimit very close to one another, and Gen.G starting to run away.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. Ziki's got to be careful here. Unlimit versus Gen.G, two of the most aggressive teams as the bow check. Usubi is causing some problems here for Gen.G. You've got a longbow in the hands of Peace as well. Kickstart drone's going to be coming his way. That's dealt with, but it's going to cause him to at least have to expel the bang armor here through the skies. Goes one player, can't quite connect in the way he wants to here. 51's enough to at least scare off members of Gen.G.
I've not seen Gibby move like that in quite some years. Taking him back, his hips don't lie, but they are able to get away. No one to say that. Ziki does go down finally. Some of these shots connect.
There's a gap in that bubble. That's the problem for them here. They wanted to try and stick that res immediately, but the gap in the bubble allowed shots to come in, and that is the signal now for the rest of Unlimit to push. Ziki is still on his back.
You've got to hold aggressively here. I like this from Asia as well. Utilize that Prowler to do some damage. If you get a knock, it could be big.
It's a trade. Dexter's now on his own, running through zone. Gibby can move. We know that since the recent patches that boy can move, and he's going to be able to escape for now. Will Gen G be able to reset and get back into this game? Over to Flat versus Shopify Rebellion, however. This fight is taking place elsewhere. This is the barometer side of the map, just outside of Mill, excuse me. And looks like Shopify will be able to get a wall down here just outside of the zone, but they've got Zeta Division looking at them from inside of zone 2. They're a little bit pinched here, Shopify.
Yeah, if Shopify lose one player, it's going to be curtains for them because Zeta are going to take full advantage of it. Flat may not be aware of Zeta Division arriving yet, so they're going to continue to be aggressive because they were up in the fight. They had done more damage. Bubble now comes out. Shopify Rebellion, they smell there is something funky about this one, and they're trying to retreat.
Yeah, they're actually going to hit the Void Nexus here. They're going to be able to get away thanks to the ultimate. So Shopify Rebellion will be able to pull outside of where this zone is going to be, but they're all on their feet most importantly. Zeta with the team who are pressurizing, all in purple armor, by the way, and if they get an armor check here on Flat, it wouldn't surprise me if they take this fight.
Just the 5 points at the moment for Zeta. A team that we know can be very aggressive and win a lot of interesting fights on their side, but a slow start to the tournament could all change here in match 5. Storm Point we know is more comfortable from them.
There's the armor check. There's a Sky Nade.
I think when you're in this position, you kind of have to be aggressive now. You have to look for this fight.
Team Heretic's just been eliminated. The nades are starting to tickle away, and that's going to be multiple shield checks now coming in. Flat know that they're in a little bit of trouble here. And Zeta are just waiting for the zone to force Flat to make a decision. Are they going to go to the left? Are they going to go to the right? They queue through this rock, but Zeta are going to have eyes on that as we take our eyes over now to Dory, who are going to be down on that northern side trying to force their way into zone. They've got Unlimit at their back. They've got VP in front of them, and Shopify also to their west as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a very different fight to what's happening on the west because there's going to be far too many teams here to really take anything isolated. So instead, it's about survival. It's about working out, can we get past people? But you cannot get past Zeta Division. The bubble will be forced. So there's going to be a little bit of time for Flat to try and plan this one out. But now we are going to finally get this 3v3.
Yeah, I like the fact they're going to queue through on this as well. The Gibraltar defensive bombardment, which is probably an option for Flat to try and hold here, going to be useless because they have the pylon down of the Watson. So that's just going to eat that one up as Mike will pop in and out of the Void Passage to do this damage. They found one, they finished off Q's here as well, and now it's just about collecting the final KP here for Flat.
It's a lot of noise though in Trinity. They were kind of nearby and they're starting to scout the area and get a little bit closer. You have to stay healthy here if you're Zeta. You can't afford to lose a player.
Well, that's going to be 2 now. Suzuki hits 1. And Mike hits the 1 clip as well, and all of a sudden Trinity are regretting their decision to try and flank in on this one. Mike's gonna portal through. Last player behind the knockdown. This man is traversing the portals like a pro, and surely this should be the end of the game. It looks like the last player actually portaled back through the Wraith portal, but Zeta doing a great job there just to clean both sides and take their attention where it needed to be.
Don't worry, my brother.
A charge rifle from distance is still a nuisance, but that lip of the ridge should be able to allow them to reset here.
So Zeta did take down 3 people, but 2 were from one side, 1 from another. Flat have got back up to a 3 now, though. They were able to reset fully, whereas Trinity, it wasn't as simple for them. As we check back in with our lobby leaders, Falcons, 49 points as they stand.
And I can almost guarantee if we were in a listening with Falcons, they would say someone's running Vantage. And they're soon to find out that that's going to be Gen G. For fun, now move into that waterfall spot. Now this is an interesting one, Dan, because this kind of a spot towards the end game can be very effective, but early on very difficult to hold, especially with the zone continuing to pull towards the north. This is going to be a pit stop for them as Unlimit take a lot of damage on their landing here.
Yeah, they're going to get eliminated. Our Gen G, Unlimit just able to stay up at the moment. No one getting too aggressive on them because there are buildings being held. There are going to be shots coming from a distance from Virtus Pro. Just making sure those breach charges to try and just add a little bit of extra damage, but actually the pressure being applied back, insane!
I mean, the bow checks are primed and ready, and they are doing all sorts of damage. Ozus answers back with a 108, but for VP, it's not looking good. Prestis is on his own and is eating all sorts of damage. Unlimit continues to output damage as VP will be the next out of the lobby.
Yeah, I thought VP were going to be okay there and they were going to be the ones holding Unlimit out, but somehow Unlimit go about their business, survive, And now they'll be able to look at trying to engage into this final zone, as it is going to move a little bit further north.
It's a vicious north ball.
It's up towards Zeddy, actually, in the building that Zeddy are going to be holding. They won't be in that next zone, but they're going to be one of the closest to it, as actually AG Global are going to be in the middle. By the way, the Bojeks are reigning supreme so far in this lobby.
Yeah, 7 frags in the back pocket here for Stubby as well. So that thing is going to be almost permanently primed. He can flush teams out with just one weapon. And he's showing how damaging it can be. The Bojek is something we haven't seen used in quite some time. A lot of weapons more popular than that when it comes to the Apex Legends Global Series. But when that thing's primed, when it's charged up, you can flush teams out.
For Fun will zip their way into zone by the looks of things. That will leave on the southern side JD Gaming and Team Falcons, as we're also checking in on the southwest with Zeta Division, again still looking up towards Flat. And I think those are going to be some key fights that will happen on the approach to zone, but it's about whether you can win that engagement and then survive into zone.
Trinity just been eliminated. A tough rotate actually now for Zeta. They may have left it a little bit long. It's a long way to go. Unlimit now try and collapse onto Shopify Rebellion. This is the team that they were trying to force the fight on for quite some time, but Koiful and an R9 is always a difficult question to answer, as he would take down Yolari Man.
And Zainu says we have to send it. Let's take advantage of this. We've got the extra player. Piece is going to go down. And Shopify Rebellion, that is job done, because you got the damage done, but now you have to make sure you survive the oncoming barrage. Everyone else starts to look towards you.
Good use of the mobile shield, though. They want to try and clean this one up. Shopify Rebellion. Yolari Man's back to his feet, by the way. Peace hasn't been finished either. And when the Nitro goes down, he slides his way over towards his teammate. Unlimit might get a reset here. Shopify have got to be careful. They might think about finishing this one off quickly. Koiful will go down, though, and the knockdown is a problem.
This is very frustrating for Shopify Rebellion, and now suddenly PXX, they get involved. They say we'll have a piece of this cake.
Well, Zap is holding the line with this Mastiff in his hands. He had to hit the big shots there to force that team away. PXX wanted to move in, capitalize on the damage, and now all that's really happened is everybody has reset. JD Gaming, they are eliminated. They cannot make that southern rotation work. But Unlimit, through all of that fighting that was going in around that Pixel building, have managed to get a full reset. Dory, the next team to be eliminated in the lobby.
This engagement is still happening, by the way, between Shopify, Unlimit, PXX, all of them fighting tooth and nail at the moment. Limit down just as Peace as Falcons get eliminated from the lobby in 14th. By the way, Peace, kill leader right now in the lobby, but will be wiped eventually. A valiant effort as now all gamers global say will get involved.
Yeah, they've moved from using the Pathfinder zipline to do so. Of zone, Shopify Rebellion down. Building is more important, and you can see why from the top left-hand side of your screen. It is safe. It is one of the only places that will be, as PXX now move, but finishing off Shopify seems like an impossible task for everyone. Finally, they go down, but PXX, it will cost them their lives as well, as DCG will move in to be the final team to survive on this eastern side.
Shopify just went through the gauntlet, and how they survived that long. A lot of kills just went their way. Relove in the end. DCG will be the final team that arrives and actually picks up all of those pieces. And I love what AG Global were doing. They were bullying these teams on the
by 7 squads now remain.
Suddenly that passes the advantage to Zeddy now, by the way. Zeddy in second place, 2 points behind Falcons here in match 5. They could be the lobby leaders going into the final match of this series.
So a moment of calm here, 24 seconds until the zone starts to close. Seven points, Wolves, but how do they somehow...
If you want an actual answer, it is through Wraith, but there's going to be other teams doing the same thing. We are going to see everyone now who has Wraith still alive portaling in, and actually it's an ulti that's going to be available as well, as Wolves trying to portal to the north side, but who's there? AG Global, you've got to be careful, and instead Fun, they're now going to use the zip line to go north.
No Name did find a portal. Crazy Con comes through that portal, tries to stick the res here on Newcastle, but the pressure is coming in from a combination of AG and the rest of the lobby. Wolves have to retreat here, but the zone is going to be at their back.
This is brilliant from For Fun though, because they are only a duo, but they've been able to lock down the most north position, avoid initially AG Global, but finally AG Global will spot them.
K-Tex up on this high ground now on the middle layer of the building. They're going to be down to just one as well. They'll be the next out of the lobby. Kurasame Havoc have fallen. 6 squads remaining. And while all of this is happening, the main building, the God building, has belonged to AG as the God shots start to come in as well from Yanya. This boy's got a Kraber.
Kadinga, Kablam, Kabloozy as now AG are going to be on 37 points and building. It's just one remaining player, by the way, on the north as Flat get eliminated. Cinetic will be sent on. Should be eliminated from the game and will be. Down to 4 squads. Surely this is AG's game.
Boys, the gymnast almost managed to get out of there. Wolves now go down to the low ground. They have found a way to reset. They have found a way to get into this zone. And Zeddy will be out of the lobby. Top 3 is where we find ourselves. You have Zeta, you have AG Global, and you have Wolves down on this low ground.
The Gibbies are huge though. They're massive. The protection is huge. But Wolves, they've got the portal to back off.
The pylon is eating all of the ultimates coming from the skies here for Zeddy. And that means that AG, the Gibraltar, not as useful. Zeta now up on the high ground. The nades are raining down and Wolves will fall and Zeta move in to claim the game.
Our best performing APAC North team, the #1 seed coming into these groups. They were Storm Point warriors throughout Pro League, and again, they put big points on the board to keep themselves in that conversation. And most importantly, Mark, gain some confidence and not be down in the bottom, not be worrying about those elimination spots after the group stage games. That's going to be so big for them. Their hopes and dreams have been able to move through, and to be fair, they've been spoken about as potential winners of this tournament. They have the potential, they have the players that could be up there.
Always the hope of APAC North. When you see that face in the middle, with all due respect to the entire composition of the players that make up this team, Yuka's pressure, probably not felt by many other players in the Apex Legends Global Series. Always looked at by APAC North as being the guy to take them to a title. Well, winning a game early in the stages in these groups just gives you that little belief that, hey, we're here today, we're gonna play, we're gonna make it through, and we are a serious contender. Not just for APAC North best performance, but for a team that can go on to lift that trophy when all is said and done. They'll take a little break here from the stage, but Dan, that was a fantastic endgame there, and I've got to say, a zone I have not seen in quite some time, pulling all the way over to the north.
And again, it really just shows how important that composition can be if you can get to the final circle. You pointed out the pylon did absolute bits and wonders to be able to survive, but the Gibby bubbles initially helped Zeta Division avoid all of the gunfire that was happening previously. I think AG Global will still be happy with the game they just had, by the way. They dominated the entire north. Had we see Wolves pushed a little bit differently, if they go on towards Zeta, they probably win that game. But sometimes it's just about getting the right side or the rub of the green.
Yeah, sometimes it's about finding a Kraber and threading a needle onto a team who's jumping down onto the low ground as well. That certainly was a beautiful shot that came in that just kind of solidified what we expected to see in those final moments. But I think something that really needs to be highlighted there is the importance of Watson in that final zone as well. Fuse ults, Gibraltar ults, all raining down from numerous teams nades flooding the zone, that pylon was it was doing more work than it ever should have to in that end game, but boy did it do a lot of work and certainly helped Zeta into that first place finish.
I mean, interestingly, throughout this series, Watson has been the most picked legend, but hasn't been banned because it wasn't the most picked in-game. And with how the ban system works, as we can look at how that match went down in terms of kill points and placement points, Zeta Division in the end put up 25. All Gamers Global, they managed to put 8 points on the board through kills, 9 placement points, so still big points for them. And that makes it a very interesting race at the top. It was previously a 3-horse race that I was mentioning going into match 5. But now with those points from both of those teams, suddenly it changes things going into this 6th and final match of the series.
We'll say another really impressive performance though from Wolves. We did mention how Cito was, when they would drop in, there was a pretty comfortable zone for them as far as holding down where they were going to be playing and having the choice of what they believed was going to be the priority position. But the most important thing for me and the most impressive thing is how they found their way out of that stacked central main building of Cito in towards that end game. Initially it wasn't looking good for them with that Wraith Portal, but they got a full reset inside of the building and then were able to be involved. It's another top 5 finish for them, and I think if you keep that kind of consistency up, you're going to have very, very good results here in Paris.
Well, I mean, I think actually the Wraith Portal did save them because they were able to avoid the initial fights, and perhaps people didn't even realize they were still there. So it really was down to the Wraith to get them out of that position.
With 5 matches done, we're going to take this opportunity to go to a quick break here, but don't go too far. Match number 6 is going to be up right after this. Welcome back once again, everybody. We are back. That was a quick break. That was a quick break, Danny. Almost caught me off guard there. But we are back here in Paris at the Esports World Cup at the LGS Split 1 playoffs. We've just seen 5 games done, and we have 1 more to go here in this series before we find out, Dan, who's going to be atop the leaderboards and who's going to be a little bit worried going into the rest of the group games.
My favorite thing about that is sometimes in esports we say we're going to go for a quick break, right? And it ends up being like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That one, 10 seconds.
We're a truthful bunch
right
up
back
here.
in. We tell the truth every single time. Yeah, match 6 though, it is going to be an interesting one. As I was alluding to before, we now have 5 teams, all with a fantastic chance of essentially winning this set, getting number 1 position. You've got Zeddy, first place on 52. Falcons only a point behind them on 51. GG on 46. AG Global now up to 4th place on 44. And Wolves Esports, you were saying it, they are still being consistent, putting points on the board. They are at 43. With the win, Zeta Division do put themselves up into 8th on 30 points, so there is an outside chance if they can go back-to-back, then maybe, just maybe, they can get first place.
Yeah, very interesting how it looks at the moment. You mentioned kind of outside, after Wolves, a little bit of a drop-off in points to the rest of the lobby. Those top, where are we now? Top 5 teams are kind of just locked down. Top 5 games and the points in the leaderboards as well. One of the teams on the left-hand side, of course, that you can see right now, and you can see them in full screen right now, are one of those teams that win a little bit earlier on. Some good performances on E-District, but a little bit quiet so far in Storm Point. They were involved towards the end game of that game number 4 down at Devastated Coast, but a little bit quiet by their own standards. But I'll be honest with you, when you talk about Team Falcons, quiet by their own standards means they haven't won the game with 57 kills.
They still are the kill leaders throughout the lobby. They have 32 kills at the moment, right? They are still putting points on the board, and I think regardless of what happens, they will still be happy with their performance here, even if they don't win out. As long as you are in the top bunch in your first matches of the day. As let's check out Duplex's folding skills.
Let's see how he gets on here. He's going for what can only be described as a traditional corner fold there, Dan. He's done very well.
Very well trained, great professional. The dupe swoop, some call it.
The dupe swoop. Heard from Naughty as well in the build-up to this event. A man who's full of self-belief. That is a beautiful piece of work. Can't see you on there, Dan.
I could be, though. You know full well.
Lurking in the shadows, as you tend to.
Always waiting and always watching. There's AG Global. Their game, by the way, I mean, I know they didn't manage to get the win on the board. I was watching the minimap the entire game. Like, I commentate from the map. I think that is evident. The way they held that northern side and bullied everyone else from being able to take their position, incredible. I don't want to say they deserved the win, but they certainly gave themselves a chance to actually get on the board with the victory. And as I say, had things gone slightly different with how those ults have gone down in that final circle, they could have been the victors. But now they give themselves the chance. They're on 44 points. They are only 8 points behind first place. maybe they could be the winners of this series.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the ability to clear a side of zone. Something that's so important when you are playing a spot in zone. If you can clear one side, to know that it's clear that you can focus your full attention elsewhere, such an important thing to do. The most difficult thing about holding a spot in zone is when you're under 360-degree pressure. If you can clear one of those sides and focus your gun power, your ability power, wherever it might be, into one spot, it makes the game so much more simple. And I think AG did a great job of recognizing that, especially using Fuse in some of those situations as well to flush those teams out.
I saw some world champions in the audience there. I think there was the Sentinels roster just rocking up and making sure they're watching the rest of the tournament here to prepare for their games. They'll be up next, of course, in the other groups competing. Very excited to see what they can do on the main stage, as well as the reigning defending EWC champions, of course.
Yeah, VK Gaming will be here. They will be on the stage playing a little bit later on today. But before we get there, of course, we've got to finish off this series. We've got another game to get done as we head back to Storm Point now. Game number 6, the final one between groups A and B. Looks like it's live, Dan, as we can jump back in and see who's going to grab the final points available.
As we go into match 6, it was Gibraltar banned from match 5. So again, the final circle you just saw, not going to happen. It's going to be so different. No bubbles, no bombardments. And it does really throw a spanner in the works for a lot of the selections here for teams. We're starting to see far more legends like being selected across the board, as you can see on your screen now.
I had a giggle because I think I'm just saying, we had E-District earlier, we had Storm Point now, right? I almost guaranteed that we would have a Humber, and I was getting worried that we weren't going to have our wall zone down.
You always have to have a wall zone.
In match 6, we do get our wall zone, so we are going up to the north. And for AG Global, who have proven they can hold a spot for the long game, what a zone that is for them, Dan. It's pulling directly onto their heads.
This is brilliant. They have Ring Console as well, Survey Beacon alongside it, so they're going to have all of the tools they could possibly want to hold, loot up, and they'll be able to do it speedily as well. They are going to be approached from the west of ZE Esports. They've also been able to get that Ring Console. Zeta Division will be arriving from the east. So actually, in terms of teams at the top,
yeah,
3 of them are north. I mean, Gaming Gladiators not far away as well.
Look at
so
the first teams arriving are Zeta, ZE, and AG. So all of those teams, like you say, already in zone. The one team that isn't in zone, Team Falcons. They've got a longer way to go here. And speaking of which, here they are on your screen. They've got to go all the way from Launchpad here. And just looking at their pathing, one good thing for them, Dan, they've had 2 Evo Harvesters spawn extremely close to their POI. So they're going to be able to get up very close to purple almost immediately here.
And that'll just help them in any early engagements if they do come across some other teams. But actually looking at their routing at the moment, they may have fairly easy access on the entire eastern side of this map, and they might be able to then rotate through Elrod, Zeus, and then up to the north, and potentially arrive as one of the latest teams on the northern side and catch a few teams off guard. So that's going to be an interesting journey for Team Falcons if they want to approach that way. But of course, they might head through Stormcatcher as well to utilize the survey beacon there.
Well, GG have found their spot to play. No blast has gone down. The good news is Lufka's alive. He's going to be able to drag his teammate back to his feet, but he's being harassed once again by a Fuse ult. You can guess who that is, Dan, don't you? Have a little guess. That's going to be AG Global firing that one from a distance. Little breach Fuse motherload.
I'm glad you didn't make me guess. I started to panic and I started to look, where's the fuse, where's the fuse, where's the fuse?
I could feel your vibrations from here. The shaking was noticeable.
Some say it could have shooken the whole arena, and they would be shook it. Because now GG are going to be able to portal back. Just a little bit of assessing of the area at the moment as they continue on their journey. So they will be able to get back up, and it is not going to be a problem. But there are so many teams that have already arrived at wall. So AG, even though they started here, they are no longer alone, but this is the position they look to lock down. This is where they are confident it will get them points.
Well, look at FJam's just scooting past there, trying to find a spot for his team to play. For fun. Having the most of it right now as Wolves are pressuring them. Synetic's going to be caught by the burn of that thermite. Great shots coming in from No Name as well, and almost more impressively, gets back through the portal. Doesn't manage to get the finish on that damage, but these Skynades coming in from Crazy Comp. We'll have to see if the fuse lands. It's actually going to be a breach charge that does the job for them. So something a little bit more simple, and that's going to be Wolves now using that portal to fly in. They want to finish this off, and they should be able to pretty comfortably. For Fun are out as Wolves get the kills.
And look how close it is between these top teams. With those kills, Wolves suddenly push themselves up into 3rd place now, onto 46 points. They could be one of the sleeper teams at the tournament. Just such an impressive team when they do get aggressive. They know exactly how they want to take out a team. Well calculated, they consider how much time they need to reset and know how long it's going to take for their opposition to reset as well.
Shopify Rebellion taking a more serene route towards where this zone is going to be going. They're heading over towards the mill at the moment. They'll have a survey beacon to hit, see where everyone else is close to where they find themselves. Also got a ring console to play with, which they're going to hit right now. And this is an aggressive composition as well, Dan. 22 points on the board. They have a Bangalore, they have a Sparrow and Alta, so you can see what the game plan is for them. And with where the zone is going, Dan, this is the kind of composition you want if you're running in on edge.
And Shopify Rebellion, they need points. 13th position. Another team that has been up there with the discussions of potential tournament winners as well. And they have been known throughout this split of being a little bit slow to start. So they'll want to try and come out of the blocks a little bit hotter, but at the moment they are still sticking to a slower start story. Story, they're going to be checking in and see where everyone else is, and now they're going to get the information that they do have the possibility to rotate on that northeastern side themselves, so that will give them the freedom to pop that evac.
Back here. Maybe an evac into a balloon over at Zeus Station, but it's going to be a little bit late for them to do so. They can play the high ground, but it does look like they're heading over to Zeus Station, so that might be the play. Also going to be able to hit the survey beacon, see if they do take to the skies where they want to play. Unlimit, by the way, now known in the lobby, because if you see a boat check that's primed, it's Unlimit, and Gen G will be the first to tell you that that's Unlimit.
So Gen G is just going to have to absorb a little bit this ring damage at the moment because they are not able to force their way into zone from that side. So uncomfortable when you have to do so. Thankfully, it is only the first zone, so they're going to be able to do it for quite some time. Question for Unlimit is it even worth staying to hold out Gen G? I would probably say no. As again, we check back in with Shopify Rebellion. There's no one for them to fight. Everyone has moved. In fact, there is only 4 teams outside of this next zone.
And they'll be up to purple. There's an Evo half just outside of North Pad for them to grab. You can see that on the left-hand side of your screen right now. That's where everybody in the lobby is, and that's where the zone is going. And with GG and their early rotate that we saw playing on that little slope that kind of is just outside of the main POI of the wall, they are going to be bang center of where that zone is going to be. Their worry is Dory rotating late on that eastern side. AG Global still safe. Zeddy also still safe. So the big boys, as far as the points are concerned in the leaderboards, they're looking pretty good for their spots. Also, Falcons have managed to get center zone somehow.
Yeah, I was just trying to find where they were. I was looking for the red. And they're going to be in such a commanding position, actually. We'll get a little bit of a closer look at them a little bit later. For now, we check back in with Gen G on their movement around. So they were able to avoid the gunfire previously, but then Team Heretic started to pressure them a little bit as well.
Let's do that one.
I think for Gen G, the path is going to be awkward, to say the least. This is Team Falcons. You can see they don't have the best of spots right now. That Gen is a little bit vulnerable. See, just trying to kind of body block it as well here. You do not want that to be taken down, because the moment that interception pylon goes down from Watson, they become susceptible to nades, to fuse ults, to Sparrow ults. It really has to be protected here. And you're going to have to hope that they've got some ult excels in the back pocket, because if that goes down and Guild is popping them, they'll be able to get it back pretty soon. But look at the damage they're taking. This is awkward. This is ugly. But if they can survive, Dan, on the next zone close, things come a little bit differently. But Hal wants to play somewhere different. They've decided this is too uncomfortable for them to enjoy.
Yeah, whilst Falcons are very good at being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, you've got to know when to move. And they will now reposition. Again, there's a lot of teams that do have eyes on the moment, but this area is a little bit more comfortable, but suddenly Fusel's getting involved.
Oh, yeah, that's eaten away. Motherload's going in as well, and Hao is back on his back. Yanya now. Maybe looking to overextend here, have a little look at this one himself. Whilst he's continually dragging his teammate back up, and for Falcons, it's about surviving. If you can survive, then you have a chance as the zone starts to close, but are they going to be able to survive over time here? They take the zip line back. Wow, it's going to be Hal who goes down once again, though. And Waltzy's going to have to try and drag him back again. Uh-oh. Goodbye, Hal.
Waltzy's gone down as well. It might be the end for Falcons here. It's about trying to survive, see if you can rescue any points here. Maybe one last remaining rat of Guild can get away and put points on the board. And, I don't know, maybe you escape far enough, you can get the team back up. as Waltzy also will go down, but the banner is going to be grabbed. Not a fun situation to be a part of.
Falcons are eliminated. Ozus with a triple take from distance does take Guild down. So Falcons, who were one of the teams inside of the top 5, now the most vulnerable to falling out of that top 5. We mentioned FCham finding his way in towards zone a little bit early. We saw him kind of flying past AG Global. Well, that's where the rest of TIE find themselves right now. Pinator putting out some good damage with that 30-30 repeater. Preston's going to have to be brought back to his feet. Elsewhere, outside of zone, down in the south, JD Gaming are involved in a fight that you can see against Kirasame Havoc. That's Team Heretics. Well, they're involved in a fight on the northern side.
Yeah, Heretics have made a heck of a rotation actually to find themselves here. It's Dory, they're going to be holding them out, as well as Gaming Gladiators. And not too long until Unlimit are also going to be arriving to this party. As you are going to see in the kill feed, plenty of action going down at the moment.
No Name has a Kraber again for Wolves. And he's picking up kill after kill at the moment. Unlimit, they're going to be safe inside of the zone after their little reign of terror on Gen G a little bit earlier on. No Name does get that finish. Shopify, Wolves, Kurasame and JD down on the southern side of the zone though. There is a lot of action and here it is on your screen. Everybody moving in at the same time and everybody looking to be the team who thirds. The problem is, there's 4 teams.
What's better than a third party, a fourth party, but Wolves are able to escape and move to the northern side. So now there is just going to be the 3 teams competing here. And they'll be alive and kicking for a while. It's going to be a 1 minute 20 before we see this zone moving next. And actually, it was a good hold here. The Shopify Rebellion now starting to have a little prod, a little poke. JDG looking a little bit vulnerable, and actually JDG engaging. And this is going to be bad news because Shopify will be able to clean this up.
I think they just don't know that Shopify is there, and Naughty's now left on his own. He's looking to get those kills confirmed to get the points on the board, but all it's going to mean is a couple of points for JDG. They are eliminated from the lobby. KSH still alive, but down to 2, and you would expect Shopify to try and push this advantage, but Gen G are here now, but they have retreated. They have recognized that a couple of kills here isn't going to save their series.
It's actually going to save Kurasame though. Gen G doing that, it forces Shopify away. They know they don't need to take that fight. They've been able to get the KP they were looking for. Although they still need more, still in 13th place, still on 23 points at the moment, and they're kind of shadowing Gen G right now. Now as we check in with Heretics versus Dory, remember this engagement. If you win this fight, you are in a fantastic spot for the late game.
Gotta be careful here, Alonzi gets away. Kus has gone down though, and they might have to hit the Void Nexus to get him back to his feet. Can he stay alive long enough for them to drag him back and try this fight again? Shopify Rebellion versus Gen G does start taking place, and Asia will be the first to go down. Zap is also down though, by the looks of things. So it's a 2v2.
Hold tight, I got your back.
Smoke goes down, so Anu has a little poke at this one. Koifel's going to send some frag grenades in. And are they going to come down and hit some big targets? It looks like they are. Sparrow's also down. Koifel now has to hit the evac tower just to try and survive this zone closing behind them.
Yeah, it's about getting ahead of them here. Don't have the banner of Zap, so it would have to be a craft if they were going to get back up. There's not going to be a death box recovery this late as Gen G probably landing on Shopify here. Koifel's going to hold this.
Koifel's on his own. Finally, it looks like the rest of Shopify are going to kind of try and walk their way up to him. Wolves are having a look at this one as well, but it's Koifel essentially is a man on an island, and Gen G know this. It's a 1v2 for Koifel. It's a 1v1 for Koifel. He'll go down though. Zone Unite trying to move in, trying to catch this fight up. He's just late to the party. It's a 1v1 still.
Manages to get attacked, manages to get a little bit of information from that Sparrow, but I think the call has been made by himself, or potentially from Koifel. Might be better just to avoid the zone here, play a little bit ahead. Dexter now taking a lot of damage from that ult as well. Shopify will win the fight, but at what cost? Zainu, last remaining player.
This one was over as soon as that Sparrow went in. The bolt was the difference maker. It just stuck the remaining member of Gen G inside of that zone, ticking away at the damage, and then the wingman shots. Bread and butter for Zainu. 16 squads now remain. It might be going down pretty quickly though, because Flat down to 1 as well.
Yeah, Zeddy taking some damage, but it looks like Zeddy have been able to win out that engagement, or at least get on top of Flat, and there we go. Wolves Esports get eliminated. That's another top 5 team going down, and actually a lot of our big teams are on this western side. Zone is shifted east, as now the Deathbox recovery is going to be attempted, but there's damage coming from elsewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be AG Global is firing in. Those knuckle clusters trying to force them off of that box. Deeds will be able to get back. There's a rogue Nitro gate down for him from another team that helps him get back into that body. Duplex If I know this man, it's a no man left behind kind of character. He gets Jelly back into the game and should be able to pull him back into that Void Nexus. However, there's now a team approaching, and that's going to be PXX who smell the blood in the water.
Yeah, PXX are on the hunt at the moment as well. Zeddy having to retreat and back themselves into a corner, but there's still a job to be done here, and Dupe can definitely output damage.
Dupe's a one-man army at the moment. Jen's going to go down, and finally with Dupe going down, it's looking like this could be the end of the game here for Zeddy. Deeds left on his own. He's going to get swung behind these knockdowns. That's another big team in the leaderboards, falling early here. Zeddy Esports are gone and PXX are alive.
Zeddy were in first position, remember, on 55 points, so that's going to be the number to hunt now for all these teams who are chasing. Think of AG, who are on 46. If they can rotate a little bit further east, survive, win this game, perhaps they could be the ones to take the most points from this lobby. GG, remember, still alive in 47 points in the moment as Shopify Rebellion starting to get kills in the kill feed. Koifu's back up on his feet, so there are two.
Koifu lives. Team Heretics just about doing so themselves, but they're going to have to send it on to Dory here. They can't win that fight. It's a combination of Dory and Unlimited who take down some players from Team Heretics. They will fall next in the lobby. 12 squads remain, 8 have gone as Dory continue to survive and thrive behind this Newcastle wall. Trinity, they will be out next as well.
Virtus Pro taking a lot of damage, but looks like they are surviving as now Zeta Division have found prime position in zone. And remember, they won the previous, and I said, if they could go back-to-back, maybe an outside chance of also taking first place here, but they need KP alongside it.
Shopify also fell while all of that carnage happened. Everybody, by the way, from Wall, who has to move towards this zone, has to leave the buildings. VP will be next. Zeta and AG Global, the only two teams in zone right now.
And AG Global just positioning themselves so successfully now to try and catch up those lobby leaders as PXX taken out of their lobby after being able to delete the dupe swoop a little bit earlier. As Gaming Gladiators, consistent entirely throughout the day, 51 points. They are only 4 behind Zeddy, who are in first place. As look at this rat spot right now.
I'm just a mere wraith. Let me live my life. And that's exactly what DCG do. It looks like there's a line in the sand. They agree that you look too vulnerable to be taken advantage of, as GG now will fire on the cross to everybody who's trying to move from this south to the north. TIE will be eliminated. 7 squads now find themselves in the lobby of our last game of the series.
GG up into second place. Fun fact, by the way, Zayn is currently at 499 deaths throughout his ALGS history. If he goes down once more, he'll be at 500. But maybe he doesn't do it this game.
Well, Zeta have all of the high ground here. They have God spots. And having won the previous game, there is a real opportunity to go back-to-back for them. Relove DCG will be out of the lobby next, as Yolari Man and the rest of Unlimited try to survive down on this southern side, but with the zone closing, and Stuvie just being brought back to his feet, the health is a problem. They cannot get chipped away by this zone. Yolari Man's going to have to pop the med kit, but has he timed it well enough?
So initially it's going to be the rotation of GG. How important that is. Where do they end up with this zone? But it's Zeta Division and the AG we have eyes on as well, as they hold prime positions at the moment. And GG are doing very well to eliminate that one remaining rat. They are going to take the western side here, and they are going to try and use whatever they can to create cover. And thankfully they do have a rampart.
They're not going to be safe inside the zone though, so they're going to have to keep moving forward. Maybe they're looking at Hermit Crab on damage as Lufka will slam forward. AG still controlling some of this height as well. Dory will be out of the lobby as we're down to 4. GG, AG, Unlimited and Zeta are final 14.
Look at this rotation from Zayn though, trying to get up north, trying to get ahead of them on the Wraith as well. So you can get above everyone at the moment.
Well, the Newcastle has gone down though. That's the problem here for GG, and instead he's decided, I'm just going to pepper away at AG Global. Zayn will fall. That is his 500 death, as GG will be out next as Zeta now come under fire from Unlimited.
Can Zeta go back to back, or will it be AG trying to take this lobby at the moment? They're on 55 points. They've just got 2 points behind GG.
They're getting
if AG go down,
they're getting pinched.
It will be huge for GG.
They're getting pinched. Yanya left on his own. It's Yolari Man, the bogeyman of the lobby, who's coming through and doing the damage here to AG. Satuki up on this high ground there with a car in his hand, just laying down the fire. The bullets are hitting nothing but flesh as AG are down, and Zeta now moving on a limit.
A chance for the back-to-back from Zeta. We knew they were going to be good on Storm Point, but we didn't know they were going to be this good.
Here's the swing. Don't want to be the team to make a mistake. Zuvi will make that mistake. Zeta get the first knock. Yolari Man, 1 HP. He's going to go down as well. Last man alive is Peace. It's a 1v3 to stop Zeta from winning this. but it's not looking likely. Back to back goes Zeta Division as they close out Game 6 with the win.
It may not be a series victory for Zeta Division, but boy is it a statement. They put themselves back on the map, and that map is Storm Point. We'll have to look at the tallies at the end, but I think we might be looking at GG as winning that series, just being able to get those extra points on the board when Zayn took his final 500th death. I say final, there probably will be a few more. But it's all about Zeta Division, the back-to-back after a disappointing E-District. It really shows how the map changing and Legends being banned completely wipes the slate clean and allows you to have these opportunities to put points on the board.
And with that back-to-back, they move from 20th to 6th position. Wow. That is a huge, huge jump up for the gentlemen that are on your screen right now. A fantastic end to the series for them. Back-to-back feels good, regardless of what stage of the tournament it is. Most people are happy with winning one game throughout a tournament. Back-to-back feels something special.
Well, what a first series to kick off our day and to kick off the tournament here at the ALGS playoffs at EWC. There's still so much more to come. That's what's exciting.
It's a long tournament, and I mean, this is the first set of games that we've had in front of us. The first series, 6 games done, and already I've got to say that hands and arms are standing up, Dan. And I'm excited to keep casting these games as they keep coming through. Another team who have been very impressive, AG Global, a very, very consistent performance from them in the first series that we do see here on our main stage of A versus B. And the great thing is, Dan, we've only seen 2 maps as well. We've still got 2 more maps in the rotation. We've got World's Edge, we've got Olympus still to give us a lot of surprises, a lot of moments as we move through this tournament.
I am excited for World's Edge to be back. Of course, wasn't part of the Split 1 Pro League, but now here at Split 1 Playoffs. And I am a World's Edge fan. Now, we saw AG. We know they've had an incredible Storm Point here as well. It really has been the teams to find their points here on this map. But in the end, it was GG who were able to just put enough on the board. If you think about the position GG found themselves in on that western side, by the way, picking up those kills on their approach, staying alive long enough to gain extra placement points as well, it will be the difference maker when we do look at the overalls and where they finished. But it was Zeta Division who would be able to find themselves on that northeastern side, dominate that spot, and also not give it up, not get too excited for some of those kills that were below them.
Yeah, I was really impressed with just, I think the not making a mistake in that final moment. It's very easy to do when you see 2 teams fighting in front of you. You know someone's taking damage, and it's very tempting as a player to think, I know someone's weak, I'm going to swing in here, get the first knock, win our team the game. But sometimes you just got to play as if it's a straight 3v3 where everybody is full shields, full health, and make sure you do not make that mistake. Because the moment you make that mistake, all of a sudden things can change. As we saw in that last game as well, Zeddy, who were leading, of course, for them in the majority of that lobby. They went out a little bit early than they would have wanted to, having had a really good prio to that zone as well over at the wall. And that's how quickly things can change, right? In the LGS, in the Split 1 playoffs, we are going to see huge amounts of swings in just one game.
It also just shows, you bank on one side of wall. If it pulls aggressively to the other side, even the best of teams can struggle to get out of that position. And Zeddy may be banked on being able to pick up enough points, but they certainly are up there at the top of the leaderboard. Speaking of top of the leaderboards, I believe with my calculations, it might have been GG who were number 1. But it was a record for Zayn. He gets his 500th ALGS death. I mean, that's not what we're going to remember here, but it just shows, what a prominent figure he has been in ALGS with the amount of games he's been able to play. And he's able to put GG on the map here.
We'll put it this way. I'll do Zayn a service here. I'll say he has a lot more kills than he does deaths. Trust me on that one. One of the best performers from the EMEA region for sure. Falcons as well. Pretty solid performance there. Rough last game for them. You can see the spot that they were trying to hold was just too many LOSs on them to try and survive, and every single corner they tried to play, it felt like they were being flushed out by either a fuse or a triple take, whatever it might be. Just very, very difficult spot for them trying to get into late. But overall performance from them, pretty impressive. A win as well as they find themselves in 4th position in the overall. So Falcons, I think, will come away from that first 6 games pretty comfortable and pretty happy with how things went.
Yeah, I think that they could have looked at it and said, could we have made more of it on E-District? Perhaps could we have found those extra points so that we could have been number 1? In the end, only 6 points behind Gaming Gladiators, who were the winners of that series, essentially. Zeddy so close as well on 55, and then AG Global also found themselves on 55, so a tied 2nd place between the two. And as you look a little bit further down, we had Wolves Esports, who still finished in 5th position. But down at the bottom of the leaderboard, that's when things start to get a little bit scary here, Mark.
I think where things get serious, because remember, after the group stage is done here at the Split 1 playoffs at EWC, we are sending teams home from the group stages. So that is very concerning for the teams like Team Heretics, 20th place, Trinity, GNG, God bless you, down in 18th place, and Dory. All of those type of teams, I think, are going to be a little bit worried and know that the pressure is now being ramped up the next time that we see them on our stage here. JD Gaming, a little bit disappointing, I will say. A little bit disappointed with how they went in that first series. But, one team who certainly won't be disappointed is going to be GG. Zane is with Barney right now. Let's have a little catch up with him and see what he was thinking after that first series.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am here with Zane from Gaming Gladiators. Zane, we've got to talk a little bit about the opening of the day, especially because those opening 3 games on E-District, you guys were popping off. Top 5 finishes every single time. Talk to me about those first 3 games from your perspective.
We're just keeping consistent, playing our game, sticking to the game plan. And what we said is if we stick to the game plan, everything will be fine. So yeah.
And everything seems to be going fine. To be honest, I had an opportunity to talk with you and the guys before this event started, like earlier today. You all seem really relaxed. No panic, no sense of uncertainty. Talk about the dynamic between you and the rest of your team, both, in and around the event, but also in-game as well. Is it just as relaxed?
I would say yeah. I think we all just kind of play our roles and everything just falls into place, and yeah. That's just how it is. It just falls into place.
And that's just it. Even end game, does it get do you guys start popping off on the comms, or do you just know your roles?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it does get pretty hectic. But we have Lufka, he's the IGL. He likes to, when he takes control, he calms everyone down, sets things straight, and then we're all just focused, and then we can play our game still. So yeah, it's good.
And considering what everything that happened at Champs, what's the goal here? Once you're here now, right?
The goal is to win, obviously, and we're just here to play our game, do our job, and see how it goes. And yeah, that's it.
We have this amalgamation of regions coming together right here. APAC typically coming with a slightly more aggressive play, and also, does it feel just different in game? Does it feel like there's a lot of different kind of dynamics of style of gameplay?
Yeah, I would say, depending on the region, everyone's different. People are playing Edge, Zone. We're not used to playing against international teams all of the time, because most of the time we're just playing in EU. But yeah, people do different things online, I'd say, especially from APAC North especially. They do play way more aggressive than usual. But it's just all about sticking to your game plan and just playing to punish them when they make a mistake, and that's it.
Playing to punish, I like that. Zane, I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and chat, and best of luck in the rest of your group matches. And I think we got Rain Day chatting over here with another player. Let's head over to him.
So much. Barney, of course I got another player, but not just another player. The other player, I'm just kidding. It's Deeds, baby, from Zeddy Deeds. You guys had a phenomenal set today. We were talking a little bit about your series. Feeling good about how the guys are playing.
Yeah, I feel great. Jelly's such an insane player. Dupe's a great IGL. I think we could do big things at this LAN.
One of the things you said about Dupe when we were talking here is that people underestimate him. I mean, he's been a player for a long time. He's had success. He hasn't gotten to the pinnacle. Why do you think it is that people are kind of sleeping on his ability to put you guys in great spots?
I'm not sure why people underestimate him. I mean, consistently, he's been such a good IGL for such a long time. I don't know what people are seeing that caused them to underestimate him, but he knows how to get it done. He knows how to get it done.
Now, one of the interesting things I learned about you, not that just you're in Fresno, we're both California guys right now, but it's that you guys pog. Can you explain what pogging is? Because normally in the internet, we think of pogging as one thing. For you guys, it's a different thing.
Yeah, pot of greed. We have a term that we like to talk about a lot. It's called pot of greed. Pot of greeding is overextending, getting too greedy, just doing stuff that'll cause us to lose our game. So if I scream pogging, it means we need to come back, calm down, take a breather, and reset.
And with those good spots Deuce putting you in, obviously not taking advantage of them or risking too much and obviously losing out, that is a big deal for your team. For you, though, it's been a great transition to see how you come from, the iteration of you on Rock, which was, I think, a very excellent Deeds. And even the Deeds that first qualified to EWC, I believe this was the first LAN that you qualified for. Yeah, it was. It was, right?
Yep, correct.
And so this is now coming back to it. You've got a team. You've been stable. You've built something here. You guys are in a great position. What are your hopes for EWC, obviously, this time around?
Last year is EWC, I got second, and this year I want to win. I want to win it all.
I love it. Deeds, anything to say to the fans, people supporting you?
I appreciate you all. Shout out to Zeddy Esports. Let's get it done.
All right, Deeds from Zeddy Esports. That's it here. We're going to have some more interviews later. Of course, a whole new series coming up as well. And a halftime you do not want to miss. We're going to have time, content with everybody. So stay tuned, but we'll check it out.
Well, there you have it. Group A versus Group B is done, and boy, did we end up getting some surprises. We gotta jump into those last 3 games because, my goodness, if your name started with a Z, you were pretty much guaranteed to win. We have, who was it? Seti and then Seda and Seda with those back-to-backs. Grace?
I mean, yeah, that just goes to show, really. We were talking about it. You know, we were kind of scared in the beginning, and then they woke up and they just played their game. Sure, they might have had the end zone for that last final game where you just come up from Sioux Station and you come down the hill and you just dominate from high ground. But being able to close out games is also what makes these guys so strong because, you know, you might get zones every now and then, but winning them is a different beast.
All right, well, you know what? The thing is that we're kind of falling a little bit short here in regards to mics. So I'm gonna have, yeah, there you go. Sorry, Snipe. Now, anything? I know you wanted to talk about Seti because, boy, that was a comeback from them. From game 3, being able to get in the top 3, and then game 4, making sure that they secure a win. And for Deeds too, it might be something here at EWC. It might be something in the water.
Yeah, Zeddy, honestly, it's one of those teams where they're coming into this tournament really as a complete underdog. They were the 11th overall placement team in North America, and their best placement in any Pro League day, including the regional finals, was 7th. So overall pretty weak. They always ended in that like 7th to 12th range in every single day, which is impressive for them to come out here in the first round of group stages at the, you know, the international event like this and to end up in the top 5. And for them, that's a very strong placement, massive points going into this to help secure them going forward. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that going versus, you know, the consistency that they had throughout Pro League of being one of the weaker teams. But, you know, we go back to Deeds, for example, who ended up with 2nd place at the last EWC. So for him to come to that, I believe he's the only player from that team, that Rock team, that is here competing at this event, with Vax and Saucer not able to be here. And for him, it's one of those where it's like, prove it. I'm meant to be here. Maybe he's just one of those players that shows up at EWC specifically, and they're coming out strong, and he's giving his team that momentum, especially Yelly, who's, you know, not really, he's a very big up-and-comer, someone that we're going to be watching, you know, as well as the Sacreds and the Floatings here at this event of new names out on the stage. So it's pretty cool to see them do so.
And don't forget, new!
Yeah. I like that, Grace. All right, I like that. Now, Lace, with you, we were talking about strong teams. Remember, at the beginning of the day, we were talking about Wolves. Wolves does end up performing pretty good. They don't end up in 1st place. They do end up in 5th place with 47 points. How are we feeling about Wolves?
I talked about him at the start, probably somewhere in the middle, and now we're going to end with it as well. Look, I'm incredibly proud of their performance. This team in the Pro League Series had like 222 kills across the board. So they actually beat another team I'll talk about a little bit later just by 22 kills in the whole entire thing. So look, there was a lot on their shoulders for this entire thing, and I think they showed it. I really do think they showed it. You know, they came out strong and were going toe-to-toe with Falcons in the group stages. Like, you generally don't see that. You see Falcons like steamroll, but no, they were up there. I mean, to see the 5th, I thought maybe they were going to hit that, you know, top 3. It was looking like that, but you know what? Sometimes that particular play style that they do have doesn't really end up well in the final matches. But at the end of the day, they're great contenders.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually deep dive a little bit more with you guys as ex-pros. I kind of want to get into your brain, right? If you're Seda and you had such a bad beginning of the game, I mean, I think we saw Satuki, if I'm not mistaken, just showing so much emotion after their first win, kind of just getting a bit of a relief because they just wasn't going their way at the start after having such a great performance. Now, back-to-back wins. What does that mean to you as a player coming into tomorrow for those next 6 matches?
I mean, for me personally, I feel like it's always, you just need that one thing to go your way. And that's why it's so important to keep positioning yourself to get into those end games over and over, because eventually one of those games will pop for you. And it did. And then that just snowballs. Now that you got that, we are on the board properly. Now you can just play off of motivation and passion and feelings, and it just snowballed in a great way. And we have to remind ourselves as well, this, like EWC specifically, outside of other lands, it's so important to do good in groups in this stage. Most people are kind of resident sleeper on the group stages. They're like, yeah, we'll wait until elimination stage, specifically lower bracket runs. But now it's like, no, you definitely want to be in that top 14 in the first pool to make it through, and it's such a good thing.
Yeah. Absolutely, and just to point out what you're talking about, that top 14 is a huge difference to make it to the finals versus the top 20 that we're used to. So, only really the top 7 from each round is what's important in a sense. And for a team like Zeta, who had such dominance in their entire pro league, to come out and drop, a couple zeros back to back to back, all it takes for these teams, especially with like a Yuka-led team that, is consistently either zeros or 20 plus bombs, that's been like the theme for those rosters. All you need is that one big game, which they got in game 5, and then another one in game 6 right after, when they got more of a zone. And it just kind of calms off those nerves that you have, those big zeros. They're obviously demoralizing, but you have to think it's early on in the tournament. All we need is one, and they got that one, and then it went back to back. So I think that momentum will.
At the start?
What was
They're
that?
just playing with you at the start. They're like,
Yeah, literally.
No, snipe,
And they kind of fell into it. They fell into the
"He's
narrative.
Watching, Dad's watching.
Yeah, they fell into the narrative of struggling against, the international lobbies, which is very different, being, a lot of edge teams versus their region, which is more zone oriented. And then now, after they kind of figured it out, they dropped some bombs. Now they're feeling pretty comfortable. They get some time to relax now and come back again tomorrow, and we'll see exactly how that works for them. But very proud of how they came back, and they're lucky at the same time, because their 2 best maps were E-District and Stormpoint. So to start so poorly on E-District and get another very strong map where you were the best team in your entire region for that map as well is very beneficial, because if it was Olympus, then who knows what that could have turned out to be.
Yeah, I know that was one of your concerns, right?
Yeah.
And after 3 matches, we were kind of getting concerned as well. We're wondering if they were going to be able to readjust or not. Well, boy, they readjusted in a big way. Now, I want to take a look at those overalls from so far today, because A and B are done. I want to see where more of these squads are currently standing, because I was kind of hinting at where Wolves ended up being, right? 5th place, 47 points. But I want to see the rest of the other squads. And actually, while we're waiting for the overall, I do have a question for you back again, Snipe Down. And that was because you were concerned a little bit about them. And now with this performance here, going on to the next 2 days before we go to Survival, and then before we go to Grand Finals, are you more comfortable?
Honestly, no. I'm going to keep it real. I'm not more comfortable, because I do still think that just the overall talent pool is really large in this, and they're kind of one-dimensional when it comes to how they play. And unless they can, get the gifted zones like they had in the last game, where they're coming from one of the best POIs and they end up, owning the height the entire game, and everyone kind of has to run to them, you don't get blessed like that often. So for them to get a big game like that after they already dropped the nuke in the one prior to that, it's pretty impressive. Okay. But I still don't think that gets them out of the water, because it really comes down to them just finding consistency throughout these matches and not having to rely on just those massive games to keep them in the tournament. And those massive games will go a long way if they can drop a couple more of them, because it is the top 14. So those big ones take you very far into the end. But I still think that they need to find more balance with their overall points total.
Okay, well, we'll see if maybe they can find that balance, but right now they're sitting pretty right there in 6th place with 46 points. Now I want to go with you, Lace. Second page, teams that need to step it up tomorrow. Which ones come to mind right away?
Yeah, look, that was a tight leaderboard. I was just kind of looking at the point difference between our top teams. This is so easily changed by anybody. I'm sitting here and obviously looking at the second page here and the bottom of the leaderboard, but they can still absolutely turn this around. This is not out for them, obviously, after our 6 games. But look, I feel like Virtus Pro, I wasn't expecting maybe sitting in that position there. I had a little bit more high hopes for that. But like I said, one good game could completely turn around and put them in that top 10 bracket after watching that. But yeah, I did expect a little bit more from Virtus Pro.
I know somebody that's been wanting to he's just been itching to talk about Virtus Pro. Go into them.
No, I mean, it's just one of those things where I'm sad to speak it into realities. I also said some teams are underdog teams. You know, we kind of glanced a little bit at it before, but Team Heretic was one of the teams that said, you know, I know them individually as people and players, but everybody probably assumed that this would be the case for them. But then if we look at VP, it's like, okay, this is one of these we expect to be further up. And then they kind of fall short. It just really goes to show that there's so much going into this, especially with bans early. Crypto and Seer, we expected it. It's gonna get banned up.
Seer? What?
Yeah, get rid of Seer. Get rid of Seer. JSK, guys. But the thing is that you just have to really be able to adapt on the fly. And I really think now more than ever, I always say it, the map choices is so big. Like you start on Olympus or anything else, it's way more up in the air than on these two maps.
Now, based on what you just said, right, in regards to Virtus Pro and the hopes that you do have for that squad, do you think coming into tomorrow, do you think they'll be able to turn it around and at least position themselves to go directly to the grand finals and stay away from those bottom 6?
Yeah, I think that you can have, since there's 3 days, right? I think you can have one bad day. That's it. Normally, you know, when we talk about a whole series, we're talking about how many bad games can you realistically have before you have to show up. Here, I think it's really competitive. One bad day is most. After that, you're not really looking at making it in first batch potentially. But I think that they're so experienced because they're all, you know, well, 2 of them are really experienced players and 1 relatively experienced player. They have more than that veteran knowledge to them that I think this is just a wake-up call and they're going to warm up through it. Other teams, however, that might not have as much LAN experience, colder start than this, and you're looking at survival stage.
I mean, you don't want to go to survival stage. It gets insanely tough there. And if you can find a way to make it straight to grand finals from this group stages, that's exactly where you want to be at, Lace.
I mean, didn't we watch the Falcons, New Orleans, crawl their way out of like a survival stage? It's been done. I have full faith someone else can do that. You know what I mean? It is daunting though to end up in that position, and like we talk about it a lot, but you know, the mental anguish that puts on you to perform because you're so close to going home is just another thing to add on top of, you know, your points that you haven't gotten as well.
Yeah, and to add on top of that, I think the biggest difference between, you know, this prolific event here at EWC is teams don't have the safety net of having a loser's bracket. You know, you don't get to botch your entire multiple rounds of group play and still be like, oh, it doesn't matter. You know, we'll just come out and we'll get top 10 going into the next round, make losers semis, and then make it to finals and then grands. And it's like, you know, the Heretics that just dropped, you know, 11 points. It's you're already in elimination contention being in the bottom 6 at that point. You need to drop minimum 40 plus points going on forward, or you're, you know, at that bottom 6 ready to be knocked out. So I think there is always more pressure at an event like this versus the other majors that we have. Yeah. And it's interesting to see because that alone will change the dynamic of the mentals and the fortitude on especially these newer teams at these events who have not competed under these circumstances.
And the pressure is just going to keep getting worse and worse because of what we were talking about right earlier, Graceful. When you go to the grand finals, first place, yeah, not only do you get to be the champion, but you get to take home with you $600,000. If you end up in second place, 300. That is a massive difference.
Crush some keys.
And that too.
I sound so dude. I'm like, yeah, crush them keys. You're like, money.
We're over here. Yay, life-changing money, people's journeys, crush their dreams.
So much you can do with 600K too. Actually, you know what? Talking about crushing those keys, if you were in the tournament, which 3 keys would you crush?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And you guys might as well start thinking about it.
I mean, you know, I'm not at a position now, you know, not having competing for quite a while, so I don't have the arch nemesis of, let's just say, Effect versus Alliance. He'll definitely crush their key. I know that for sure, right? I don't really have that, so I would take teams that, you know, I would probably be as compassionate as possible. I'd pick one team from each region, most likely. I'd pick an APAC, I'd pick an EMEA, I'd pick a North American team. Probably just the favorite was just because I don't really have. It's a boring answer. I get that. But yeah, man. If I want it, I'm just happy. I'm just spreading love.
All right.
I'm giving out steaks to everyone.
Pass it to Snipe. Come on, Snipe. I need you to be some toxicity here.
I'm taking any team in my region that I have had a teammate on at that point, because it's just like, if I'm not teaming with you anymore, something happened.
Okay.
And it's probably like, all right, like, you know, for like Phony, for example, if it was like, I would love to crush a key like that at that point, or like a Hal, just because there's so much, you know, history there, whatever it might be. So at that point, I think it's fun, and if they're out, they're out. So
As Hal's just staring at you too.
Is he right there? Yeah,
Dude, he's right there. You just can't see because of the light.
He'd be like, "Yeah, right. You never have the chance." And then we'd just be going back and forth like we always did. So.
Hal, Snipe wants to cross your key.
Okay, all right. Well, ladies, you know what? I'm gonna let you keep thinking about it because we do have an awesome video coming up. So let's send it to that.
All right, Barney and I are going to play some games. We've got the Allianz Courtyard, and we've got a choice of basketball and, as I would say, soccer, but it's football here. I'm in Paris. You're going to help us out with the rules, right?
All right, I can. So it's very simple. Can I take it? Oh, thank you so much. So it's very simple. We have a challenge with basketball, and we have a 1v1 arena on football. I'm going to explain it to you. It's very simple. Come with me, guys. I'm going to do it.
I like this. Come with us. He's taking our jobs. If you're lucky enough to make your way down here to the EWC, then you'll be able to take part in all these fun games as well.
So very easy. First of all, it's a warm-up. So you have a ball. Yes. I'm going to count 1 or 2 minutes, and you're just going to shoot ball. In fact, basketball is very simple. When you just have to shoot, it is going to make us know about your level, and thanks to that, we are going to make you a challenge with different points, and you will have to shoot with this position on. All right?
I promise I'm just tall. I'm not good at basketball. I'm just tall. I'm just one-handed.
All right.
Okay, all right. You go. One-handed, guys. It's not really fair. Oh, that's an air ball, we call that in basketball, don't we? Oh. The pain is just getting worse. I have a broken toe right now, and it's getting more painful.
Definitely got
all
the
he
move.
needed to do
Definitely got it.
was throw in some skills. Make it rain!
Oh, almost.
Make it rain!
Yes!
I
That
feel like I'm
was amazing.
shouting a
I
lot.
gotta say it.
But you know.
Almost. Okay, you got it.
Here we go. Oh! Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one, Rain.
Oh my god. Okay. More second, or it's. Yeah.
Are we now shifting?
Yeah,
Are we
this one
shifting?
shot left. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best.
Oh! What was that? Ah!
That's okay. You know why? Because you're going to do the challenge right now.
Okay.
You are more on it? Okay. You're hot about this? Okay. So there is few different points, all right?
Okay.
You have 3 try per point, okay?
Okay.
So you are on the point, shoot, you use your 3 tries, do your best, and make a switch.
Okay.
Woo. That did go in. I'm excited right now. I'm getting more amped. Oh!
Are you something like that?
Making it rain all day, rain day.
You got it. You got it.
There's not enough court. There's not enough court for him to go far back enough to challenge this man. Ah!
What is this about? Who are you?
Is it my turn to embarrass myself yet?
Oh.
This is chaos, by the way.
God.
This is just chaos.
That was
I started feeling it, man.
That
It's
was
just, you know,
amazing.
sometimes I played a lot of basketball in my life. It's my favorite sport to play. Although, obviously, Barney, I didn't get the height gene. I got to blame my dad for that. He's like 5'5", but he loved basketball, so, you know, he taught me a few things.
I'm just trying to think, do I try and dunk this?
Yeah.
Or do I break my ankle live? Oh, no.
God, that was wow. That was sensational, actually.
Do you know what? GG's. Well done. We're at the Allianz Courtyard right now. If you're at EWC, come down and check it out. There's loads of games you can play, and that was insane. I got to say, that was... Oh, just get out. Just get out.
Jumpsuits over here now.
Welcome everybody to a little segment I'm calling Rain Day's Room. I don't know if it'll stick, but we got different rotations of players who are going to come in and spend some time with us in a more relaxed environment after the games. Talk about what happened, talk about what they're seeing, talk about being in Paris, and of course I'm going to have one of my talent members joining me as well, which is Snipe down over in the corner. Today, we started off with, I don't know, middle of the pack, maybe an unknown team. Just some people were trying to get onto the scene for the first time. Imperial Hal and that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Imperial Hal and Galdersons? What's up, guys? How you feeling?
Me personally, I'm kind of frustrated.
Okay.
Just rough, typical rough way to end. You know, get like maybe I don't know, only like 6 points in 3 games, the last 3. So
yeah,
definitely frustrating.
I agree with Hal. Like we had opportunities to convert points in the last 3 games and we didn't, which is always going to be frustrating.
It's interesting that you guys are frustrated. I mean, Snipe, what's your take on watching them? Do you agree with them? Did you feel that watching Falcons, they looked ready? I mean, I didn't have
the first 3 games. Yeah, absolutely. The first 3 games in E District, they were the patience with the zone moving on their back and not moving too fast and cleaning up kills. You guys had a good cleanup on AG where you're pushing on E District and just cleaning up those kills and getting the extra placement points was very well played out there. And honestly, Storm Point was just kind of seemed frustrating. I think, honestly, Hal, I mentioned it when I was talking, something that I think you've done better at is back in the day on TSM, for example, you started off slow in group play a lot of the time, and it was always a little more tough playing against teams that do random stuff all the time, and it was more frustrating. I think that's something that you've, like, your pool play performances over the past 2 years have significantly improved. Like, is that just a team thing, or what do you think that is for you specifically as like IGL?
It's like a combination of so many different things. I think it's just like we are very good at fighting, so the first 3 games are typically aggressive comps. So I feel like we are better suited for that, especially when it comes to like land. People have more pressure, the experience and stuff like that. So we can kind of like bully other teams when we need to. So I think like the first 3, when it's supposed to be like insanely aggressive, which it usually is, people are playing defensive and we kind of just take advantage. So I feel like that was like the main reason why we started out really well compared to what it was before.
Do you hate having to play group stages to get to finals?
Not really, no.
Okay.
It's like,
is it helpful?
It's definitely helpful. It's like kind of practice for us in a way. And obviously we want to do well, but I never mind playing group stages. I more so mind playing Pro League. That's my little problem. But
okay, you heard it first. Hal wants to cancel Pro League, guys. I know there's a lot of players who are like, wait, no, that's my shot. The reason I asked too, and I want to get Gilderson's thought on this, is you guys are such competent players. This is not new to you. This is new to some people. You talk about your advantage of having the ability to go, we've been here. We'll bully you. We know the comps. We know the experience. You talked in our interview like, people are nervous. We're not that nervous. Now, I'm trying to see, how do you stay focused knowing that this is not what you came here for? Saturday is what you came here for, but yet you still have to stay composed and learn and figure things out here. What do you do mentally as a team to stay locked in? And you, Gilderson, you can answer on this during these types of, kind of grueling longer days before the big show.
To be honest with you, like things like Saturday don't even enter my mind until I'm like basically on the stage, if it makes any sense. I really take it like one step at a time. Each group stage is its own thing. Like I'm not, what matters right now is like the points overall, right? It doesn't actually matter if you win your group, but for me, I'm still just trying to win the lobby that I'm in, because it's just like a competition thing. You know what I mean? I want to know that we did the best in the lobby that we're playing right now.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the meta's been interesting too, Snipe. I mean, we're seeing a little bit of it here. I think people were wondering how big of an impact Seer was going to have. Obviously, you got the nerf coming into this patch as well. How did that change anything of what you guys are trying to do heading into this tournament?
Not really. Honestly, like all the buffs or the things that happened, I guess, recently were actually really good for us. We weren't. It was
speed.
Yeah, we weren't really like really doing well in scrims until after the patch, because the bans were kind of like all over the place, and when Watson's not banned, we can't like push anyone. Right. It's like very hard to kill Watson teams without crypto, especially even Seer too. So it's when Seer gets buffed and Axel gets nerfed, the meta is a lot more clear to us, especially me, and it helps me personally to like gauge how to play the game and play the game more clearly and cleanly. So that patch definitely helped us a lot for sure. And you know, Axel was kind of like wasn't doing well anyways for us, so it was kind of fine. I was not the best Axel, and we do really well in Seer, so I'm glad Seer got buffed.
I can tell. I mean, it shifted right away, Snipe. I mean, as somebody, you know, you play with Hal, but also obviously watching this meta, how have you felt that the transition's been for most of our teams? Has anyone gotten stronger as a result of this?
I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams are getting stronger. I think the teams that, I mean, Shopify, for example, I think Shopify finally started finding their groove where they were mostly just a ranked team that ran around the map and just got as many kills as they could. And now they seem, you know, they had the best overall placements in Pro League. And I think just having the meta with as many players that are more versatile, we're finally seeing versatility in players in their becoming the biggest talent pool that you can have. The more characters that you can play, the better you are for any team, and you can fit into any team at that point. If you're only able to play one character, it's going to be a trouble. So, you know.
So do you agree? Because I think this is a controversial point. Graceful's a very loud guy in our green room. He may not, I mean, he's kind of a loud guy in general when he's passionate about something, which is pretty much everything. But I think when it comes to meta, if your team is being defined by the pace of a meta, is that your fault? Is that the meta's fault? Is that just the way it is?
It's definitely just the way it is.
I think
so like
too.
There's, you know, we're just players. We're professional players, and we play our best at what we're given, and that's our job.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if, you know, somehow Mirages can drop a nuke. Like we're playing Mirage.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just that's our job. We have to play our best by playing the best comps and metas, and whatever it might be, then we have to accept it and adapt and play it. So it is what it is.
And the best players will get better at whatever they have to play. I was about to say, like, I mean, Hal's early Bloodhound compared to his late end Bloodhound was a completely different player. So, yeah.
You're bringing up what I kind of wanted to do, because Hal's here, and Hal, you've been in the position to pick a lot of teams to kind of be some part of the architect of who you're playing with. And obviously Gildersons has fit into this role really well with you guys. Gild's been on a lot of other high-level teams, but you two playing together, I'm curious, what's your take on what Gildersons does? How would you describe what he does for your team as a play style, as a player? And I also want to get your answer on that with when you played with Snipe, what Snipe did for your team.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, I think Snipe and Gil's roles were like polar opposites, I think. You know, like Snipe was a very aggressive player and was playing aggressive roles. Like he was a kind of the fragger of our team. Gil is he's still fragging for us, but he's mainly playing anchor. It kind of obviously changes depending on the game and what's banned. But if I had to describe Guild as like the first thought, it was like the biggest sentry gun that you could possibly think of that's just planted like behind us, just looking over us or looking to the left, wherever, you know, we need him, he's looking that way, and you know, you're not going past him because he's just you can't go past him. He's gonna kill you. So yeah, Snipes, like I said, his role was a lot different. He was, you know, playing a lot more aggressive, not playing,
made a lot more mistakes.
You know, obviously the meta
that happens when you play so aggressively.
Yeah, it does.
The meta is a lot different. It's hard to compare because maybe Snipe would probably be in the same role as Gil it is now, but back then it was a lot different characters like Bloodhound and stuff like that. So you know, it's just different. It just, you know, both controller players, they can do the same thing. So yeah.
You know, Gil, I'm curious your thoughts on that first, from what Hal said about you.
I mean, he's definitely like right. My job is just to, you know, make sure nothing's going too wrong behind us while they're doing their thing, and then, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of situations where they need help, and then I pull up and I start beaming people. Like, that's pretty much my job.
I love it, man.
I always find your guys' dynamic so funny to watch because, like, you'll stay quiet and you'll handle criticism super well. You know, if Hal's gonna call you out or whatever, it's all good. But the moment you know that you're right, you like immediately start being like, no, what do you mean? That's not it at all. And you defend yourself super well, and then Hal will be like, oh wait, okay, and he'll go back, maybe watch what happened. It'll be like a complete different understanding of things, and I find that funny, and it's hilarious because Onset says that you are the most you don't intend it, but you're the funniest person that he watches based on your comp specifically, because like something crazy will be happening, you'll be like, yeah, there's just, you know, I'm going for this Evo over here, and it's just like a random comp completely off topic of like getting back on page, and I find that hilarious too.
I mean, it is interesting, and I think this is a component that goes along with Hal more so than Falcons. It's a part of wherever Hal goes. Team comps, I mean, it is interesting. You've matured a lot, Hal. People have obviously thought a lot about how you get upset, and you figured a lot of ways out to work with your teammates, because getting upset's a part of it. However, the thing is, most sports don't have behind the scene conversations. Playing soccer, that happens when you're pass me the ball, but we don't stream it. And so you've had to go through this whole level of, hey, this is a natural reaction when you're competing. But now I'm getting thoughts about it from everybody because I happen to be in a business that's live streamed. Gilder says, I'm interested because obviously there's a weight on him of having to get on you guys, but also you having to sometimes check that and say, I was on it. And then there's 1,000 people commenting on that. How have you been able to navigate that environment, but also to such success to where you guys feel good about each other and you guys are in such a good place right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've honestly got like my blockers on, like
how horse blinders,
dude. I don't think I've opened house chat in like months because there's just no point. I'm gonna open up the chat and I'm gonna find something that's gonna upset me. So there's no point.
Calling for you to get dropped, whatever.
You could look.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've just got my blinders on. Like I'm just focused on like us. Like I don't care what anybody else thinks. They don't care what anybody else thinks. It's, you know, it's just like whatever works for us works for us. That's all that matters.
Al?
7 years, gonna be 8 years. Nothing changed, bro. Nothing's changed. Just, you know, I take other people's opinions as, not advertisement, but entertainment.
That's how you stay entertained.
Well, yeah, I don't like people that come to my chat and say whatever they want. I don't even ban them because I want the men to watch my ads. So like, just keep them around. Like, okay, like if you're gonna hate, like give me some money at least. So I don't know. It's just like it's the same old. Like people. Social media is free. Twitch chat, typing in Twitch chat is free. And anyone's gonna type anything they want, whenever they want, because they have an opinion, and that's fine. Like that's okay, and that's just how it is. And like you said earlier, it's real sports. No one has like sometimes they have mics equipped, but you don't hear anything of that. Like you don't have mics equipped in behind the scenes practice, football, soccer, whatever. There's any sport at all. This is a way different like situation that people don't get. That I'm sure if you mic'd up any other professional athlete, they'd be saying the same things, maybe even worse.
That's right.
Like these are people are even older than us. Obviously they're more mature than us, but they're still slinging the words just that we have. So no different.
Yeah, I've always thought as a professional gamer, or honestly a professional in any sport, the moment that you start letting the people on the sidelines start influencing how you think about whether it's your teammates, your own gameplay or anything, you're not cut out to be a champion at that point, because it really is just all chatter on the sides, and if it lets it affect your own gameplay, it lets it seep into the team where it starts bleeding into personalities or people get egos from that kind of stuff. It's not going to matter. We see professional sports players make burner accounts to try and defend themselves or whatever it might be, and it's like all right, like is your head in the game? Are you soft at that point? And at the end, like I think champion mentality, you can tell who's a champion or who's able to be a champion just by how they like present themselves and how they hold themselves. And if people are passive or it seems like they don't have that killer instinct, that is what makes a champion, is having that killer instinct, seeing your opportunities and being able to jump on them right away, where some people wait for the game to come to them. And I think that's a massive difference with these top teams and why we see teams like yourselves and some of these other ones as the consistent performers at these events over the years.
100%. Fellas, before we let you go and transition to some more stuff, Paris, I just got to get a couple words. Are we loving the city? What's the highlight, the best restaurant? Have you enjoyed a little bit of time out there?
Yeah, this is my second time in Paris. It's pretty nice. My girlfriend's French, so it makes it way easier, right? Yeah, I've only been to like one insane restaurant so far, and there's obviously, or actually two. They're really good. Honestly, I love it here. It's probably somewhere I would move to after I stop playing Apex. In retirement. So, or actually will, not probably. So yeah, I don't know, just good time, perfect location. It worked out for me because of my personal life.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, it's nice.
This was, I mean, there was very fortunate occurrences. Yeah, because you have someone to partner here.
Yeah.
Gil?
I mean, I think Paris has been really nice. I really like the architecture. It's really beautiful.
Very special.
The food's been pretty good. I'm not a fan of smoking on the patio at restaurants. Not a big fan of that. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, you're gonna have a problem with all of Europe at this point.
Just smelling stick smoke the whole time I'm eating isn't great, but other than that, it's been a great experience.
They have some slight non-smoking areas. They try to give us Americans some chances there. Guys, it's been a blast. Thank you for sharing your time with us. Congratulations on a great finish in this first group, and then we'll see you all a little bit later. I don't think you play. Do you play this afternoon?
No, we don't.
Okay, tomorrow. So get some rest. Enjoy Paris, and see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. It's nice talking.
All right, guys. We got some videos. I've been all over this venue, so we'll check out that, some more player interviews, and soon we'll be coming back with our second series of the day.
Body was built to move, not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. Ergonomically engineered for you, gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
In your hat.
Yo, fits you too well. Yo, fits you too well.
Stirring?
Marathon?
Running a lap.
NASCAR? Oh wait, no, it's a track.
Running on a track. Running in circles.
Circles.
Sprinting?
What is this?
Hold on.
We geeked out. We geeked up now right now.
Oh, there's no way. Finger.
Point.
Wrap.
Ring.
Ring. Around.
Ring around. Ring around. What?
Ring around the rosy. I don't. It's all I know. Like can't say ring around the run. Ring.
The Apex ring?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if it was Apex ring. I can't ask the mime that though. All right, lock him.
Locked. Locked. Triangle. It's like SkyWest Trials on what was that or something? The bird? Ladder. Triangle. Ladder.
Triangle.